Good morning, everyone. Before I call our meeting to order, I just wanted to give a big thanks to all the first responders who are helping us with the Davis fire. We have so many local community members who are supporting this very scary fire, and also thinking about all of the people who have been displaced or have lost homes. We will have an update on the fire during our commissioner and county manager announcements at 11 o'clock. So if you'd like to hear those updates, please tune into that. And now I will move to the salute of the flag. And Commissioner Garcia, if you could lead us.
Please join me in the salute to the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you very much. We'll now move into the roll call. Madam Clerk.
Alexis Hill, Chair.
Here.
Jean Herman, Vice Chair. Mike Clark.
Present.
Mariluz Garcia.
Here.
Clara Andriola.
Present.
County Manager Eric Brown.
Here.
Deputy District Attorney Mike Larch.
Present.
And I'm Jan Galasini, your County Clerk. Madam, you have a quorum.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. We'll now move into item 3, public comment. Manager Brown.
Item 3 is public comment. Comment heard under this item will be limited to 3 minutes per person. It may pertain to matters both on and off the commission agenda. The commission will also hear public comment during individual action items with comment limited to 3 minutes per person. Comments that are to be made to the commission as a whole, and virtual public comment eligible where facilities are available.
Thank you very much, Manager Brown. Madam Clerk.
We have several people signed in, so I will call 2 names. The first one, please approach the podium. The second one, please queue up. First up, we have Kayla Shannon, followed by Heidi Soper.
Good morning, Madam Chair, Vice Chair, and Commissioners. For the record, I am Kayla Shannon, LCSW MAT Behavioral Health Coordinator at Northern Nevada Hopes, and I am here today to provide comment on Agenda Item 10. Thank you for your support of Hopes throughout our history and your consideration today to grant Hopes funding through the Washoe Opioid Abatement and Recovery Fund to ensure the most vulnerable members of our community have access to our services. Joining me today are Kyle Sunland, LCSW Behavioral Health Director, and Kim Nishik, PA and MAT Medical Coordinator. In addition to the 3 of us, our integrated MAT care team is comprised of 14 staff and has become the gold standard of effective treatment in our region for nearly a decade. We have built a multidisciplinary team of professionals with a broad range of training and experience who provide comprehensive and individualized treatment to our patients. Our MAT program, medication-assisted treatment, combines the combination of medication and behavioral health services to support recovery for individuals struggling with alcohol or opioid use disorder. Our harm reduction approach means that we meet patients where they are in their recovery journey and develop team-based treatment plan based on each patient's specific goals. Through the allocation of these funds, we will provide uninsured, underinsured, and underserved individuals diagnosed with opioid use disorder with integrative MAT care. Our behavioral health services include treatment through peer support, therapy, and case management wraparound services that identify and address barriers to engaging in treatment. With this funding, Hopes will help at least 200 clients each year achieve improved health and social outcomes, which will ultimately help make a noticeable impact in substance use-related health indicators within our community. The voices and leadership of those we serve are pivotal to our healthcare model. Hopes' CEO is an individual with lived experience of both homelessness and substance use. As someone with these lived experiences, she embodies client-centered programming into all aspects of Hope's operations. Bringing her experience to the table, she ensures services provided are not only conducted in a culturally relevant, low-barrier, compassionate, and dignified manner, but that these services will actually better the lives and outcomes of the people that we serve. As our community grows, it is vital we work collaboratively to address challenges We're grateful to the members of this body who have taken time to meet with us and come tour our facilities and learn about the life-changing services that Hopes is known for. Together, we can improve the health of our community, caring for one patient at a time. So sincerely, from our board, our staff, our patients, our future patients, and our MAT team, we thank you for your consideration of supporting Hopes in our efforts to offer substance use treatment and care for hundreds of Northern Nevadans. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Heidi Soper, followed by Elise Monroy Marsala.
I gotta grow. Good morning. I'm Heidi Soper and the Vice Chair of the Sun Valley CAB. We are going to hear some very negative comments from the Commissioner support staff concerning the Washoe County CABs. I would like to present the positive side of the CABs. After speaking with many people at our Saturday meeting, I want to share their thoughts. But first, your description of CABs online is, quote, citizen advisory boards are organized meetings held on a regular basis for the purpose of bringing community members together to discuss topics of interest within their neighborhood, express ideas and concerns to Washoe County staff, and hear from subject matter experts. Washoe County wants you to voice your opinion and take the opportunity to make a difference in your community, end quote. I guess that pretty much says it all. It's what the CABs are about. Some of the thoughts of our citizens: they enjoy the meetings because they motivate people to become active with the community. We can bring ideas to improve the valley. They can interact with the commissioners. They enjoy going to the CAB because it's their voice, and they learn about activities in Sun Valley and services that are of value to us. We have worked hard to have important and interesting guests invited to our meetings. Our attendance has greatly improved in the past 6 months, ranging from 16 to 28, up from 5 or 6. Sign-in sheets may not reflect this, as most people didn't sign in. Now we have let them know how important that is. As our taxes pay for this, I believe we need the CABs, as they provide so much information to the community. After being in management for 20 years, I would suggest if the employees complaining about the CABs are so unhappy and burned out, maybe they should look for employment elsewhere. Since we, the citizens of Washoe County, elected you and also pay your salaries, I would hope that you listen to and consider our opinions. It costs $43,000 a year for the CABs, $4,777 a year for each CAB. I wonder how much the Leadership Academy costs. Our society is becoming too impersonal and computerized. It would be a loss to lose something so simple to do to keep the community engaged for such a low cost. Thank you.
Thank you.
Elise Monroy Marsala, followed by Peter Ott.
Hello, Commissioners. My name is Elise Monroy Marsala, and I'm the Board President of the Northern Nevada Harm Reduction Alliance. NNHRA is a collaboration between people with lived and living experience, harm reductionist, treatment, outreach, and public health practitioners and researchers. NNHRA is a nonprofit organization, and its purpose is to promote and foster respect, acceptance, and dignity for people who use drugs and sex workers by recognizing the inherent worth and value of each individual person, adding to the community essence and shifting the narrative community-wide. I'm here today in support of Agenda Item 10, related to the approval of the Washoe County Opioid Abatement and Recovery Funds. The opioid epidemic is a complex issue, and the solutions must be equally multifaceted. We appreciate that the funding strategy recommended by staff reflects what one harm reductionist called the whole hand approach, as in we're here to offer you the whole hand, not one finger, and we're not here to wag a finger at you. This approach is a metaphor for a comprehensive, integrated system of care that addresses the multiple and interconnected needs of the individual. The whole hand approach represents a different type of service or support The whole hand approach represents a different type of service or support, working together like the finger on a hand, to provide coordinated, holistic approaches to uplifting and improving well-being. This approach honors autonomy and self-direction. It also accepts that people facing complex challenges like addiction require more than a single intervention. They need access to a range of services and supports that address different aspects of their lives. Harm reduction is a concept centered around both reducing health risks that come with drug use while providing education to help individuals make informed choices. We work to meet people where they are by providing resources and education, such as naloxone and drug test strips, while encouraging any positive change and addressing social determinants of health that exacerbate the impacts of chaotic substance abuse. Agenda item 10 also recommends funding for other essential services like prevention, treatment, and recovery support. These services will be more effective when bolstered by a concentrated effort to support harm reduction, which this agenda item does. We applaud the county's decision to ensure harm reduction in evidence-based public health practice as part of a comprehensive overdose prevention model. By funding a comprehensive model, the county is ensuring that individuals struggling with substance use are safe today and have access to pathways that support their long-term well-being across a continuum of services. Your decision to invest in these programs sends a message to the county that you value life and are committed to helping those most affected by the opioid crisis. Thank you for prioritizing harm reduction and overdose prevention. NNHRA has a membership meeting on Friday. You can find more information. About our work at No More Dead Homies on Instagram.
Thank you.
Peter Ott, followed by Terry Brooks.
I need to shrink. Good morning, Board. Thank you, Madam Chair. I'm here in support of Agenda Item 10 as well. I put my paper down because what has been said before me kind of explains it all. But what Bristlecone intends to do is take an existing building on our campus and convert that building into a 20-bed walk-in detox that not only takes Medicaid, but will serve underserved, underinsured, non-insured. Nobody will be turned away. Bristlecone has a 60-year history in this community of not turning away anyone for care. But the opioid crisis has put a spotlight on overdose, and people not having a place to go when they're scared and need help is vital. A short story, I have 2 minutes. A young woman came to us, 21 years old, 8.5 months pregnant, and was on heroin. She was currently high and scared to death. She didn't know what to do or where to go. We took our team and called everyone in the community we knew, and nobody would take her. We found one detox that would take cash payment. My team came to me and asked me what we could do. I said, let's write a check and get her into treatment. Not even in our agency. Before we could get down to tell her, she ran. We do not know where she went. We've checked with our contacts in hospitals. All we know is that a scared young woman is out on the street, ready to give birth, with no support or no help. I never want to see that happen again. So please consider Bristlecone's efforts to build this detox so that individuals like this will always have a place to come. Thank you.
Thank you.
Terry Brooks, followed by Craig Brinkman.
Good morning, it's me, Terry Brooks again. And today I'd like to address social interaction and health in the case of homelessness. Social interaction can be a major factor in health, just like money can be a major factor in wealth. A lot of people, when they socially interact, can learn a lot from a friend about local doctors and who they would recommend. And then from those doctors, they can receive recommendations about help with ways of healing and certain medications. Most people like to share and sometimes even advise what they know about healthy diets and healthy exercise. Being around other people can be a healthy situation and can really help a lot in the process of adaptation. But if you're homeless and don't have much interaction and you're going through an unhealthy time, you can even lose traction. Without social interaction, you may find yourself in seclusion, which can eventually lead to a state of confusion. Not having helpful knowledge will not suffice when you don't have other people to give you good advice. Not having close friends who are willing to share goodwill will not help you recover when you are very ill. Having friends at home or at work can really lift your spirit, but it doesn't do any good if you're not there to hear it. Not having others to share important information can lead you to find yourself in a state of frustration. Having social interaction can really make you stronger, but without it, you may find yourself suffering for even longer. I would like to thank you all for listening to me today, and I look forward to coming back because I still got a lot more to say.
Thank you, Mr. Brooks.
Thank you.
Craig Brinkman, followed by William Pouchert.
Good morning. I'm here to talk about the fire. Like you all, I'm mostly and greatly appreciative of the firefighters in this circumstance. I live in South Reno off Salesi, and on Friday night, we were at the apex of excitement related to the fire. Among the things that happened were at 8 o'clock at night, Nevada Energy decided to pull the plug on all the power in the Arrow Creek corridor and in the Zalesi corridor. The effect of that was to black out all of the traffic signals on Virginia, Arrow Creek, and the surrounding areas. This was simultaneous with a text that we all received saying, "Evacuate immediately." You can imagine what happened. There was a 2-mile-long backup of cars on Arrow Creek unable to move. This is not the kind of thing that we should be doing in these circumstances. Nevada Energy should be directed by the county in these matters and should never, ever, ever black out traffic signals or other vital equipment that will permit the escape from a fire. Let's not have a Lahaina here. Thank you.
Thank you.
William Pouchert, followed by Cynthia Stipik.
Good morning, Commissioners. First, I'd like to say thank you to our first responders who are putting out the fire. And I think it's commonplace that we do thank our first responders, members of the military. But I never thought I'd feel compelled to thank, for their service, our librarians. I don't know what you guys have heard about the library board meetings, but the last one was absolutely atrocious. There were a couple of staff members who were looking to keep sanctions against opponents of the library's Drag Queen Story Hour up at the North Valley's library branch in June. They were very disruptive. They had behavior that resulted in sanctions for a year. 2 of the appeals were approved by the library board. And as the library staff, who made very compelling cases to keep those sanctions against them, were realizing that their board was not going to even support them, they were crying. And the opponents of the library were just snickering, laughing. I do not think that our employees who are public servants should be treated like that. They are our people, from the county manager all the way down. They need to be treated with respect. They should not be subjected to this type of behavior. I've been going to the library board for over a year because I want to keep freedom of speech, freedom of thought, and if we allow this bullying to prevail, I fear what kind of future that we have. So I would respectfully ask that you protect your employees. And I know that some of you, like me, have received threats online. There was a video that appeared on YouTube with one of the library board members' email address, and they have been receiving threats, and this is not decency. And we need to strive to be more decent people. So I thank you for your time, and I thank all of you for your service.
Thank you.
Cynthia Stippick, followed by William T. Stewart.
Good morning, Commissioners. I'm here as an evacuee. Our neighborhood was the first neighborhood evacuated, and my husband and I got in our car and left with just the clothes on our back. And we are here, both of us, to talk about the appalling lack of communication and lack of information there was for the citizens, the residents that were evacuated. We so appreciate the firemen. They did a heroic and outstanding job of saving our entire Washoe Valley neighborhood. We lost only a couple of homes, the Catholic Church on Old 395, and a couple of businesses that could not be saved, but I'm amazed at the job they did. So this is nothing against them. It's nothing against NDOT. Those people are working hard. But somehow there needs to be some more communication to residents when they're desperately trying to get information. A lot of us left animals at home. We had medical supplies and other things to get, and there's just no communication. My brilliant husband, who you will hear in a few minutes, he's also good looking, and you should pay attention to him because he's wonderful. He came up with a brilliant idea to help with this. I'm not going to take time to do that. I'll let him do it. The other issue, since I've never been here before and I've always wanted to come and speak about this, that I want to bring up is marijuana dispensaries, which has nothing to do with the fire. But I know that they have been put along Old 395. We have one not too far from us, and that has been zoned business. But there were years when that whole area was residential before the zoning was changed, and those poor people that live next to it have to put up with that horrible smell, and it has lowered their property values. I don't think any of you would like to live next to one of those things. They're stinky, and I'm not here to argue the issue of pot smoking for people that need it or want it. I'm just asking you guys to please consider that when you approve where these places go in, please do not put them close to residential homes, especially ones that were there before zoning was changed. Those people, a lot of them don't have money to move, and now their house value is so low, they can't sell anyway. So please consider that. And I'm going to give the rest of my time to the next speaker. Thank you.
Thank you.
William T. Stewart, followed by Trey Abney.
Good morning, Commissioners. William T. Stewart for the record. I want to read from a past county commissioner meeting that was actually in 2003. Then Tim Rochelle, acting regional forester in Sierra Fire Protection District, recommends effective building codes, statutes, and other regulations that include fire hazard reduction requirements to motivate communities to take responsibility for reducing their vulnerability to fire. We know the Davis fire is taking off right now and it's growing. It's not contained. It's over 5,000 acres. What can we do to make sure this doesn't happen? What if this did not happen and we actually were out in front of this and being proactive, reducing fuels, taking care of the forest, working with our local and municipal and state and federal cooperators, the U.S. Forest Service, BLM, all these people have a tie-in with this. NV Energy, the people who just spoke, they wouldn't be out with power. Their power wouldn't be out if that fire never took place. So how can we do this? There's grants available. One of the things I just was aware of, this Nevada Division of Forestry has the Secure Rural Schools categories. And under Title III, it has carry out activities under the Firewise Community Program. So there's grants out there, whether it's through the USDA, whether it's through our state legislatures, that I've talked to you guys about before, Firewise grants, adaptive communities, living with fire. There's all kinds of ways we can get out in front of this. I know you guys have a lot of land around the Arrow Creek area. I've talked to you about that before, doing fuels reduction within that. That's right in the bullseye of Arrow Creek. So if that fire continues to blow south, or actually northeast, it's going to actually impact Arrow Creek, and it already has. So as we continue to have fires in this area, what can we do to make sure that we're out in front of it? And then one of the things I want to pull up to your attention is something for the public. I'm not sure if you guys know about this. It's called, one second, Fire Watch Duty. Now, if I can have the overhead, you guys can see exactly what I'm talking about. I know it's not really easy to see, but this is free, and you guys can all get to this app. All you have to do is put in Watch Duty, and if you click on the fire, it's going to tell you exactly where the fire is going, where the evacuation routes are going to be. It gives you all kinds of information. And I know we just talked about, well, except not that, we talked about the lights being out, so far as NV Energy. So knowing people where to go before the fire happens, that's a big part of this. So in Nevada County, when I worked for Truckee Fire, they had zones. So when you were going to be evacuated, those zones would be notified. So it's not a whole evacuation notice it's not very specific. So the communication has to be better, being proactive, making sure we can get funds to the local HOAs, large landowners. You guys doing your part to make sure the Washoe County lands are taken care of. We do fuels mitigation. We get grants from local jurisdictions, also the federal government, to make sure that it does not happen again. God bless.
Thank you.
Troy Abney, followed by Mark Newman.
Good morning, Madam Chair, members of the Commission, and Mr. Manager. For the record, my name is Trey Abney, and I'm here today before you as the volunteer chair for Bristlecone Recovery Center. You have heard from the experts that do this work every day, so I won't prolong this. Obviously here to speak on agenda item 10. Just wanted to thank you, and Mr. Manager, wanted to thank you and your team for your hard work on this, and they were great to work with. We're going to build a detox facility, and we probably need 10 more after we build this one. But this is important work that you've already heard from our Executive Director, Mr. Ott, and others. Important work, and I just wanted to be here today in person and thank you for that. Thank you, Commissioners, for considering this, and thank you, Mr. Manager, and your team for working with us on it. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Mark Newman, followed by Bill Miller.
Good morning, Commissioners and staff. For the record, Mark Newman. I know all of you have seen me at all of your cabs throughout the county, and the cabs are a very important information tool to a lot of the people. Even though there may not be a whole lot of people that show up at the cabs, the information that they receive is passed along to their neighbors and friends. And the cabs, the last commissioner that were on board stripped the cabs of any of their voting things. So it is only, the cabs now are only for information. And it's vitally important to the communities all throughout the whole entire county that we receive this information through the cabs. It's vitally important. Now, second, I was passing through Washoe Valley Saturday afternoon at 2:10. There was a small little tiny fire going into the brush. Hadn't even hit the pine trees yet. Called the fire department. The fire department said, oh, we'll be there as soon as we can. 45 minutes later, one fire truck showed up. I know two of you commissioners have been begging for years, and the people of Washoe Valley have been begging for years for a fire department. If the fire department was out there in Washoe Valley, that fire could have been knocked down at 2:20. instead of 3 o'clock when one fire truck showed up from the city of Reno. Washoe County is sloughed on its duties to protect the citizens of Washoe Valley. And Commissioner Hill, Chair, you have put it down the side and kicked it to the curb and kicked it to the curb and kicking that can down the road. I blame part of this on you. Thank you very much for your time. Have a great day.
Bill Miller, followed by Nancy Lindler.
Good morning, Commission Chair Hill, commissioners, staff, and fellow citizens. I'm Bill Miller, resident and advocate for a livable climate. While we are currently in the midst of a heated election campaign, we are also in the midst of an uncontained wildfire south of town. These two are related. The political choices we make determine whether we escalate or decrease the risk of more and more intense wildfires, toxic smoke, loss of property, and even lives. And as an aside, we are currently housing 2 fire refugees. The fires we now experience are of a different intensity than what has been the norm for millennia. Firefighters call these monster fires because they burn so hot they explode as they expand. The reason is simple and was predicted in the 1970s. Human-caused climate change due to burning fossil fuels. Here in Reno, we have increased our mean temperature over 7 degrees since 1970, a record for the United States. In summer, that number is 11.1 degrees. We are now living with the consequences. That said, I want to acknowledge this commission for acting to mitigate the crisis at the county level. Every action helps. Every action matters. That you created the position of a sustainability manager was proactive and is already making a difference. But it all comes down to political choice. I cannot appoint a sustainability manager. I cannot plant hundreds of trees in distressed neighborhoods or install solar panels on top of county facilities. You do that. And you do that because we elected you. So in the heat of this political season, I encourage everyone to consider this. Climate change is real. Don't believe me? Don't believe your own lived experience? Then check your insurance claims. Insurance companies deal with reality as it is, not as they wish it was. Rates are skyrocketing because risk is skyrocketing. And that risk is more monster wildfires, floods, droughts due to climate change. Something we can still mitigate with the choices we make. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Nancy Lindler, followed by Carol Burns.
Good morning, Commissioners. I'm with Ridge House. I'm Nancy Lindler. I'm the Executive Director for Ridge House. I'm just here to make a brief comment about and support and appreciation for consideration for WARF funding, item 10. Ridge House has been a provider in the community since 1982. We specialize in prison reentry population and those involved in the legal system, and we are very, very, very well versed in opioid use disorder. This funding will help us bridge the gap for services that are not funded, which can be crippling to an agency. I just want to stress how critical it is and important to understand the effect of the nervous system from opioid use. It is not a quick fix. It is not a short-term solution. So this funding will help us provide the services that are needed to really help folks get the help and the healing that they need. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Carol Burns, followed by Michael Stipik.
My name is Carol Burns, and I am a resident and past member of the Sun Valley Citizens Advisory Board. At our last Saturday meeting, members of the audience did come forth with reasons they appreciate our meetings, such as learning where to call to improve the quality of living, ditch and weed cleaning, animal complaints, etc., meeting our neighbors and keeping a sense of community, learning about upcoming events such as the Veterans Breakfast, park cleanups, and our recent community cleanup at Scalari's, how to contact animal control and the animals that are allowed in our community, learning about activities for the children at the parks, baseball fields, swimming pool, BMX park. We help publicize these activities for the children in the summertime when the schools are closed. We believe the Sun Valley, or the Citizens Advisory Board, is a positive addition to the communities. In the past months, our attendance has increased, even though some attendees did not sign in. County employees could see them in the room. We have had lively discussion with the Sheriff's Department about our traffic problems, which are unbelievable with the RTC NDOT improvements going on. There was a presentation of improvements to the senior center with crafting and bingo besides the lunch program. Children's programs have been announced throughout the summer. If our county employees are overburdened with their work, possibly another employee should be hired and assigned to the cabs. Mr. Brown has advised we have additional unassigned monies in our budget, and some of that could be used towards a salary for someone. This community needs to have a close contact with the county, and the cab is the answer. I would note that last night I read on the computer that there was a cancellation of a cab. So for the month of September, there are only 9 or 8 instead of 9. Thank you.
Thank you.
Michael Stipik, followed by Kevin Lysted.
Where does this go? Oh, there it is. Good morning. My name is Michael Stipik. I am a resident at 970 Washoe Drive. Our home was one of the first 3 targeted by the fire on Saturday. Saturday at 2:30, I was working in my garage, and my neighbor called, and he said, "Do you think we need to worry about this fire in our backyard?" And I said, "What fire?" And I went out and this is what we saw. We had a large plume of smoke arising from Davis Creek Park, and the wind was blowing our direction. We grabbed our 3/4-inch garden hoses and 40 PSI of pressure to fight that thing. Of course, we were ineffective, and thankfully the fire department showed up and saved the day. However, there was a long period of time before they did show up. I'm grateful our home was spared, our neighbors were spared. But since that time, since we were evacuated, I'm here to advocate for a better communication plan. I have many neighbors that are absentee landlords. They live out of town, and they're desperately trying to find information about the status of their property, the status of the evacuations, the status of the power being restored. And as there are so many ways to get information today, Facebook, X, etc., there needs to be a clearinghouse and a central point that is always available for people to know where to go. Every news broadcast should have a website or some sort of a contact point, a central clearinghouse of information. Perhaps the citizens' boards could be a way of community boards could be a way of facilitating this, but it is so very important. I went to the roadblocks on my neighborhood, and I asked them, "What's going on?" "We don't know what's going on. We just are told no one can go in." "When will I know when this roadblock is removed and I can have access to my property? I've got livestock to take care of." "Well, you just have to look on Facebook and watch the local news." So there should be a better method than that. I appreciate the first responders. I appreciate those who are manning the roadblocks. They were all very cordial and polite, as was I, in contending with them. However, it's so very important that services be provided for individuals to know how to get in touch with information. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
Kevin Lystet, followed by Stephen Markley.
Good morning. I'm here to thank you guys for my brand new life. I'm a Crossroads graduate. When I got to Crossroads, I didn't really care if I lived or died. My life was in shambles. I was unemployable. I had no home. I had no car. I had no belongings. I had no friends. My family had turned their back on me, and I had nowhere else to turn. Crossroads let me in. They welcomed me. They accepted me. They took care of me. They helped me get on my feet. They taught me how to be a man, how to be responsible, how to be accountable. They taught me how to live life, to have a job, to be a productive member of society. And today, I'm doing that. And I love my new life, and I have you guys to thank for that. Thank you very much. I heard, in my time at Crossroads, I've come across many men who had families, children, wives at home, who had to make tough decisions, who had to leave the program to go take care of their families. I've met people on the streets who want to go to treatment, but they have their families also, and they're unable to do that. So thank you so much for being committed to a Crossroads family program that I know the program, if they can do for families what they've done for me, then this is a for sure winner. Thank you all for my new life. I love life today. I have hope. I have a future. I'm reconnected with my children and my family. And thank you all very much for that. I really super appreciate it.
Congratulations, Kevin.
Stephen Markley, followed by Brendan Farmer.
For those that can see that, that is a little girl I haven't seen in 6 years. I did not think I would ever get to see again. And thanks to your support of programs like Crossroads, I have been reunited with my daughter, right? Which is, it's a simple picture, right? But that meant everything to me. I came from a position where I was on the streets for the last 6 years, chronically homeless, addicted to opiates, IV drug user, all that. And I never thought that I would have a chance to have the life that I have today, right? And it's because of the approach that Crossroads took to identifying my problem, treating me as an individual, and helping me to find meaning and purpose in my life, right? Today, I'm enrolling in college, right? I'm about to get my PRSS certification. I'm actively involved with the Northern Nevada Harm Reduction Alliance as well. None of this would have been possible if I had been turned away at the door. And if you take a look at that picture, that is another scene that you will get to see repeated because of your support for the Crossroads family programs, right? In my time on the streets, I have come across multiple married couples that just didn't want to separate from each other. And as you know, addiction isn't just a problem that affects the individual, it also traumatizes the family. So a program like this will allow the families to heal together rather than having a parent show up while you've been sitting in foster care for the last 6 months and they just kind of hope they're better. They get to see you grow. They get to see the change that happens in you. And I believe that we will make this county a better place. There's no place like it in the state that takes families, whole families. And for them to be able to heal together, that's just something magical. So thank you very much for your time, and I appreciate your support. I would also like to give a special thanks to Commissioner Garcia for showing up to the No Shame, No Stigma event. It was great seeing you there. Thank you.
Congratulations, Stephen.
Brendan Farmer, followed by Penny Brock.
Good morning. My name is Brendan Farmer. I'm here to speak on Agenda 10. I'm here as a grateful member of the Crossroads community and a member of the greater community of Washoe County. I want to thank you for your continued support for Men's Crossroads and all the other RISE projects. Thank you for supporting the expansion of the Crossroads umbrella of services to include Crossroads Family. I'm so grateful that I found Crossroads after struggling for several years in addiction and homelessness. I can't say enough about the impact of this program on my life. I'm growing and healing every day. This program covers every area of life to help uplift and empower people like me with substance abuse disorder and mental health issues. Our community is in crisis. Sorry. Our community is in crisis. We need a whole constellation of programs and services to meet the needs of our community. Crossroads Families would be a bright and much-needed star in that constellation. Thank you for allowing me to speak, and thank you for supporting us as we at Crossroads continue to heal, grow, and reenter society as grateful, drug-free, empowered, law-abiding, and contributing members of this great community.
Congratulations, Brendan.
Penny Brock, followed by Willis Dixon.
Penny Brock for the record. What I'm going to speak about, wait a minute. First of all, I'd like to address the issue of the cabs on the agenda. I was just appointed to the South Valley's cab. I was shocked when I read what is going to be presented. It was very negative. It's also disappointing that the cab members cannot speak during that item. That is wrong. So I would like to ask you to reconsider having it back on the agenda so that the cab members can speak. Now, what I want to speak about is the $500 million that's going to the rocks for the Nevada Art Museum. Why are we putting rocks above people? Right now we have a situation in our county. The major fire. People are being displaced, unexpected expenses. People's homes are burning. That $500,000 could go to help our fire victims. I've learned from a report of the news media out of Las Vegas. It says, leaving Las Vegas, the popular 7 Magic Mountain sculptures have to move, but where? It goes on to say that there's actually 3 options. They don't even have to move out of Vegas. Why can't Vegas find a place for them to be moved? Why should they be moved to Washoe County? Secondly, the artist of the rock art, he has the final say in where the rocks are going to be moved. This has not even been decided yet. Why have you given $500,000 to move the rocks when they may not even be moved up here? Does that mean the art museum's going to give the county the money back? There's a lot of unanswered questions. We did not get full disclosure when it was presented to you. And I think that should be put back on the agenda. In fact, as you may recall, and was in our town, Commissioner Clark at the last meeting asked that it be put back on the agenda. He had that right as a prevailing member, voting member, to do that. I was shocked, but not surprised, that it was not put back on the agenda. That's a violation of the law. Because if a commissioner asks the prevailing vote, asks it be on the agenda, it must be put back on the agenda. And yet, the one that prepared the agenda, our chair, refused to do it. This is outrageous. This should be brought back again. And I would ask you that, to please do that, to consider that this $500,000 should either go.
Willis Dixon, followed by Joshua Shea.
A little too close. Good morning, commissioners. First of all, my name is Willis Dixon. I am the Our Place Shelter Director through the Reno Initiative for Shelter and Equality, and a proud classmate of the Washoe County Leadership Academy. I wanted to show 2 photos real quick. One being I'm here to speak on the fact of families in recovery for Crossroads program. I'm a very big supporter of that. The second photo is that little boy. When I came into the program for Crossroads, Crossroads gave me everything I needed. It was there for me from the moment I walked into the program. It has benefited my life in so many ways. What I witnessed happen, though, while I was in the program was that there was already a way for women to be in the program and to have their children. I could not have my child while I was in the program. I did successfully build foundations outside of Crossroads. I did make sure that my recovery came first. I did make sure that everything that I needed to do was on point. But what I couldn't do was have a place for my son while I stayed in the program. It was presented to me that in order for me to have my son, I needed to have my own place and residence. So I did so. And with that being said, that went well. But for people that are in programs such as Crossroads or other programs, in recovery, it's hard. It's really hard. And to have your child put back in your life, that puts extreme more stress. And that's just for normal human beings. But when I moved into my own place, I didn't get my son back for another 8 months on top of that. And I had to continuously go back to Crossroads because that was where I had rooted myself into this new way of life. With that being said, if there would have been a program like this 5 years ago, 6 years ago for me, I wouldn't have had to wait an additional 1.5 years to have my son back in my life. I think that this is going to be something tremendous. I think this is going to be something breakthrough, and this is going to bring so much more recovery to people that are in need, that suffer from addiction. And as we all know, that opiates is rising. As we know, there is other substances that are out there that are rising, and they are destroying families. And what we need to do is we need to come together to bring those back together. And what better way than to have the support and surround by Crossroads and the families. That's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you, Willis.
Joshua Shea, followed by Anthony Reed.
Hi, I'm Josh Shea. I'm going to put this picture up here while I say this. I'm Josh Shea. First, I want to thank you guys for your time. I, too, like Kevin, am a graduate of the program and have been given the opportunity to extend the hand that was given to me when I was in the program. It was once said that stuck in me that a community fights together, plays together, and eat together. Today, my community is here, and we're not here to do either of those. We're here to throw gratitude. Gratitude for a great program that teaches you a lot. Sorry, I'm a little nervous, too. There's a lot of people out there struggling and continue to struggle due to having kids with them and not getting into a program and eventually lose their children anyways, causing a revolving door of trauma. Trauma that we experienced as kids ourselves, and now we're passing that trauma to our children, all because we didn't leave our children behind to start a better life for ourselves and for our children. Crossroads gave me my life back and the courage and confidence to achieve what I thought was unreachable. Crossroads showed me that together as a community, we can achieve greatness through a sober, healthy, and productive life. I believe that keeping families together is the heartbeat of our community and a great start towards helping our families break the cycle of addiction. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Joshua.
Anthony Reed, followed by Trista Gomez.
Good morning. My name's Anthony Reed. I go by St. Anthony. I'm a client at Crossroads Men's, and I'm here today to share with you my personal beliefs, and they're called the 7 philosophies, which are how the Native Americans live their lives, just like the Washoe tribe that this county was founded on. And I hold dear to my heart, these philosophies, and they're ranked in priority of importance. And number 1, women. Shout out to Women's Crossroads. Women are givers of life. They should be protected and guarded at all costs, right? And so number 2 is children. They are our future. And so we should do everything in our power to cultivate them and plant those positive seeds to nurture and foster them in a safe environment that will give them the best chance they can have at leading a productive life. And next is the elders, because of their wisdom. And then it goes family, our tribe. Then it's our nation, our country, Mother Earth, and our higher power. And last but not least, you'll see that last is ourselves. We have to put everything and everyone and their needs before ourselves in order for us to be able to not just survive, but thrive. And so I want to thank Crossroads community for helping me do that. For the first time in my life, I had the support I need to be able to stay sober and actually find meaning and purpose in my life. And I believe the funding, if given to, well, when we get it, will be most effectively used by this program and most efficiently be able to be utilized for the most profound positive impact on this community by bringing families together, just like our Crossroads family has done for me, and the staff and support. For the first time in my life, I'm amongst people who I truly believe care about me and actually want to see me succeed. And so I thank you for your time and consideration, and thank you. God bless.
Congratulations, Anthony.
Trista Gomez, followed by Danessa Cornier.
Hello, Trista Gomez for the record. Please record my comments verbatim. Obviously, you guys have to deal with a lot of complex issues every day, and I understand that. Some of the things that I feel like I wasn't here to speak on any of these things, but as a former social worker, I am interested in why there is this increasing uptick of these life-shattering events for these participants. Why we are needing so many extra programs for so much more engagement in opioids and these other things. I mean, we used to talk about prevention as a strategy, and I'm not discounting that these folks have benefited from any of these programs. I am very interested in what prevention strategies we are putting in as a county. So that's my first comment. My second comment is I'm listening to not thousands and not 10,000s, but millions of dollars going to programs and different things that are happening. What I'm not hearing about is how any of this money is going to be spent or benefits residents. I just was at a development meeting, and basically when I asked if the county was going to do anything about the wells or the drainage or the sewage that's happening with this uptick in development, they were saying, well, we don't know about that. That's not our problem, basically. We just saw that inadequate egress, inadequate communications, inadequate road structures, and over amounts of building, they cause damage and they can cost lives and structures. Yet we're proposing building and building and building, and you don't call it building, and you kind of gaslight residents a little bit on what that actually is. And that's unfortunate. And we talk about these programs. I would love to bring in some of the moms that I've worked with in the past that they have to budget their trips into town to 2 times a week because they don't really have a voice, but they don't also have a lot of money, and they're not asking for anything, but they don't have the access to all of these, to any resources that we're providing. Yet you guys are trying to cut out the one community resource that we have, which is the cabs, $43,000 a year. $6 million, $8 million, $10 million, $500,000 a year on all of these other things. The one thing that residents have is the cab meetings. And you guys are really thinking about taking those out. It's unfortunate, it's not right, and I hope you don't do it.
Danessa Cornier, followed by Stephanie Myers.
Hi, good morning. Today I'll be speaking on behalf of a sister at Crossroads who couldn't be here today. She wanted to say, I'm currently living at Crossroads with my 5-month-old daughter. I'm 36 years old and I've struggled with addiction for 25 of those years. A long-term program like Crossroads is absolutely necessary for me to be successful in my recovery. Words cannot describe how grateful I am that there is a program like Crossroads, where I am able to learn, grow, and change while meeting all of my daughter's needs. I would hate to think of where I would be without Crossroads. It's giving me the skills to be an amazing woman and an even better mother. I think it would be wonderful if men were given the same opportunity. My daughter's father is in prison but wants recovery. He wants to go to Men's Crossroads when he is released, but doesn't want to miss out on any more time with our daughter. I think it would be wonderful if men no longer had to feel like they had to choose between recovery and their families, where they could receive services while being loving, involved, and present fathers. If there does come to be a program for fathers, my daughter's father would love to be a part of it, and I would gladly allow her to be with him. I am thrilled to hear this idea and being considered, and I can't wait to see it progress. Thank you.
Thank you.
Stephanie Myers, followed by Robin Palmer.
Good morning. My name is Stephanie Myers, and I am here to express my gratitude for the support and expansion of family-geared recovery programs such as Crossroads Women with Children. And I want to explain why I have such immense gratitude. I'm also nervous, so. I have been a mother for 14 years with 3 children, as well as a person who has suffered from extensive childhood trauma, leading to severe mental health problems that resulted in me using opiates to self-medicate. Being a mother, I tried numerous times to achieve detox and recovery on my own while raising my children and failed several times. It wasn't until I found Crossroads that I've been able to achieve recovery and a strong foundation comprised of tools and skills to continue achieving recovery in life and parenthood. So nervous, sorry. I entered into Crossroads Women with Children on March 8th, 2024. I live in one of the cottages on campus for women with children and am beyond grateful for the opportunity I've been given to work through the underlying issues that led to my use of opiates, while also being an active present parent. Since being at Crossroads, I have not only worked through trauma, built a strong support system with staff and other participants, I have also gained full-time employment as a member in this community and the confidence in my newfound ability to face future obstacles in a healthy way. I am on track to graduate the program and move into an apartment with my children with me. I cannot thank Crossroads Women and Children's program enough for the huge positive impact it has had not only on my life, but the lives of my 3 children and their future as members of this society. I think it is imperative to have that same opportunity allotted to men with their children and or whole households, moms, dads, and their children. I think staying together and not leaving their children or their spouse or their partner definitely plays a huge part on the lack of recovery with some families or parents. And so I can't express enough like how grateful I am that this opportunity is present and how traumatic the impact is going to be on this society and the future, the children that are affected by addiction and, you know, that suffer at the hands of addiction in their parents. It's going to eliminate a lot of that revolving door and that cycle of addiction and trauma. So, thank you.
Thank you. Congratulations.
Robin Palmer, followed by Tony Harsh.
Good morning, Chair Hill, commissioners, staff, and attendees. My name is Robin Palmer. I, too, am a climate advocate. I agree with the comments of Bill Miller. We are in a climate crisis. This community is currently living a climate-related crisis. Mainly, I wanted to say this morning, you guys have a hard job, and I wanted to appreciate and thank you for your service. Thank you, Commissioner Herman. Thank you, Commissioner Garcia. Thank you, Commissioner Clark. Thank you, Commissioner Andriola. And especially, thank you to Chair Hill for your leadership in this commission.
Thank you.
Tony Harsh, followed by Stephanie Frescas.
Good morning, Tony Harsh for the record. I want to also thank all of you for willing to be public servants, because that's truly what you are doing here. So thank you for the time and energy and the devotion that you have to the public. I'm here about the CABs, or the NABs, because they kind of relate. But CABs are your advisory boards, and they really do function to give you information. They're your beginning introduction, as you would say. And I found that they came with very valuable and multifaceted recommendations. I'm interested to see how you discuss this, because I would like to see a robust discussion on this topic to invigorate them. I know sometimes they have smaller attendance and larger attendance. The citizens really care about their voices being heard. So I will be interested to hear the discussion on how you're going to facilitate that and move it forward. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Stephanie Frescas, followed by Nicholas St. John.
Hold on one second. Okay, I'm Stephanie Fresquez. I am a current member of Crossroads Women and Children's. My son had not seen his dad. The whole reason why we never went into a program together is because we couldn't. There wasn't anything offered for men. So I had to fight the battle myself. He did not have an option. He didn't want to be separated from us, but we all ended up separated anyways. My son ended up in foster care. So along with all of the trauma and damage that we caused through our addiction, he got additional trauma because he was separated from us. So I fought long and hard. This last year, my CPS case is now closed. His dad actually had his first visit with him, that he has not seen him in person in the last 6 months. That little boy has not had that smile for a very long time. So it is very important that men have an opportunity themselves to be able to experience a program like this, to reunify with their kids also. We were terrified to even show up to the shelter for help because I was addicted to drugs. I was on fentanyl, and I've been an addict for a long time. And going there as soon as they heard that, you know, I was on a substance, whatever, they had to take him, you know, and I understand that. He ended up placed with my sister. I do not have supportive family because of my addiction. They don't understand it. So CPS had actually they were doing an observation in their home, and they removed him from their home because he was being mistreated because of my addiction. Now, had Dad had the same opportunity, things could have ended up different, you know? So just plain and simple, I think that it would be an awesome and amazing experience for men to be able to experience the same things that us women can. I have completely changed my life. I am a completely different person. I have both of my children with me now on campus, and it's an amazing opportunity, and thank you for your time.
Congratulations, Stephanie.
Nicholas St. John, followed by Bruce Foster.
Nicholas St. John, for the record, living, breathing, real human being.
Before you, what you see out here and what you're about to be passed out to is 3 pages of the voter rolls. I do an extensive analysis on the voter rolls, and from the June primary, there were 25,000, I think, 258 ballots, mail-in ballots that were returned undeliverable. So I've been tracking that, and what you have before you, and I have on a flash drive, is 14,147 people who are still on the voter rolls as active that have the exact same address that they had a ballot returned to them before. So I'm here asking you to step up and make sure that we do not send out mail-in ballots to 14,147 people who have the exact same address, wasting well over $50,000 of the taxpayer money. So I'm here to put this on the record that there are on the voter rolls over 14,000 voters who have had a mail-in ballot returned, undeliverable, and that are still on it, and that it looks like they would probably be mailed again. And so I've done extensive research. I should figure out how to bill the county for doing a bunch of this analysis. But anyway, I have a flash drive here with that entire spreadsheet on it. I'm more than glad to get that to the registrar of voters. So I'm not sure, I know you, I was going to say, I know you can't respond. You can respond, but I know you don't. So I'm not sure when this will be taken up or when someone can comment on it, maybe during item 4. In the meantime, Michael, it's good to see you. Finally face to face. I'm sure you know who I am. You put in all the opposition to my court case. Anyway, aside from that, I wanted to make sure that I put in my last plug that Clara Andriola, we're again giving you 24
Sir,
hours.
please
You have
address
not,
the board,
not,
the full
you have
board
not.
with your remarks.
Then everyone listen. You know, you just had someone say thank you to each one of you individually, and you didn't interrupt her. So anyway, Clara, we're giving you 24 hours to
Sir,
resign. You still do not have a
please
bond,
address
and you
the
do
full
not,
board.
you do not have the indication from the NRS code that you're exempt. So anyway, putting that back on the record, I say thank you, but you guys are obligated to listen to us anyway, and I'm still demanding a town hall, Alexis Hill, which you've denied us. And where's the election cab that we just heard about, someone talking about cabs? I seem to be a one-man election cab.
Bruce Foster.
Yes, good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and Bruce Foster, Washington County resident and taxpayer. I can't believe how much our taxes that we have to pay out there, but I come today to you. I'm an avid bike rider along the Truck River corridor and have been for many, many years. And again, I always like to open up my comments by saying welcome to Washoe County, the shopping cart capital of northern Nevada. I don't know if it's art or what, but we know this is indicative of a larger issue. So I always feel that pictures are worth more than anything else, more than 1,000 words, but along with that, other decorations along the Truckee River is unfortunately the tents that are there, and then individuals that like to sleep out there that are along the Truckee River corridor, and we all know what they can be doing in the Truckee River. And this one here has been here for several weeks now by Fisherman's Park. And this gentleman's been there by the Truckee River by Galletti Way for a number of weeks. I don't know what he's doing, house cleaning. This is along the Truckee River, closer to downtown by the Wells Avenue. But we have other right there camped along the Truckee River. But we also have help is on the way. My understanding now that we have the City of Reno Parks Department, and they are involved in cleaning out all the shopping carts out of the river, along with apparently helping the whole process and helping them get maybe involved in a Crossroads program, which I definitely appreciate. And they tell me that that's their goal, is to try to clean up the corridor. And I did talk to Ariel yesterday with their program, and they're working on it as well, clean up and such. But shopping carts, they can get this. Smith's has this, and I think all shopping carts should have brakes as well. And then, unfortunately, you know, what do you do with these people that do want to get in a program? The only one that I know, the Sparks Gospel Mission, they're Jesus-centered, and I think that is really the most successful. And then a reminder, the Jesus, or I should say the 1916 Project. Thank you.
Thank you.
Madam Chair, that's everybody here in chambers, but we do have Helen Neff in Incline Village.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. We can't hear her.
Hello.
Yes, we can hear you. Thank you.
I had to be unmuted in two places. Hi, I'm Helen Neff, Incline Village resident, and thank you for this opportunity to comment on today's agenda number 5, the possible reimagination of the CAB program. Washoe County Citizen Advisory Boards play a critical role in enhancing communication and collaboration between local government and its residents. Please do not reimagine them, which appears to be a campaign to, eliminate the cabs. Rather, please give the Citizen Advisory Boards more responsibility and a greater voice in Washoe County. My written comment sent to all of you includes key reasons why Washoe County should keep the cabs and consider enhancing their responsibilities, strategies for increasing engagement, and justification of the cost of staff time. And I'll just repeat the key reasons for keeping them. Number 1, community engagement. Number 2, the advisory role, which actually should be enhanced, not curtailed. Number 3, local expertise, which is particularly important in the Tahoe region. Number 4, transparency and accountability. Number 5, problem-solving platform. And 6, strengthening democracy. Effective community engagement leads to better outcomes. Staff time should be seen as a strategic investment rather than an expense. This investment contributes directly to the community's well-being and the efficient running of local governance. The Washoe County cabs serve an essential function in representing the interests of Washoe County residents. Please do not disband them. Rather, give them more responsibility and a greater voice for your constituents, the citizens of Washoe County. Thank you.
Thank you.
There's nobody else signed in.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. We will take a 10-minute break and we'll come back at 11:30 to continue with item 4. Thank you. I'm like, I went back to my seat. Oh,
Yeah. Divide and conquer.
Okay, it is 11:30. I'm going to bring them back, this Board of County Commissioners meeting, and we'll move on to item 4, Manager Brown.
Item four is Commissioners, County Manager announcements, reports and updates to include boards and commissions updates, requests for information, or topics for future agendas.
Thank you very much. We'll first start with Kelly Echeverria to give us an update on the Davis fire. Thank you so much for coming to see us, Kelly. I know you had a big meeting at 10 a.m., so we're getting the hottest, most up-to-date news.
I did, yes. Thank you. Thank you for having me. I'm just going to start with last night. The transition from Truckee Meadows fire to the IMT occurred. Crews worked hard overnight to hold the fire and were able to make significant impacts. They were also able to add aerial night capability so that aerial operation can continue 24/7 now. So we're grateful for that. Currently, we're 3 days in. It feels like longer if you've been working it especially, but we're only 3 days in, so I just want to remind everyone of that. We're currently at 5,596 acres. Zero containment. The National Weather Service issued their first particularly dangerous red flag warning since 2019 for today. Today is concerning, and tomorrow is expected to have even more intense winds. So we're all kind of on edge about that, very concerned, bringing in additional resources from Clark County and possibly elsewhere to help support our teams in an effort to lean forward. Priorities, I know for the IMT, are holding Mount Rose Highway, so not allowing the fire to cross Mount Rose Highway, and providing structure protection. Was able to get out there yesterday and saw just the structure protection that has occurred thus far is absolutely mind-blowing. They have done a phenomenal job at keeping houses and structures intact and fire-free. So if you see a firefighter, thank them. I mean, it was just unbelievable. So that being said, though, unfortunately, we did lose 14 structures. Emergency management is working to make those notifications to those homeowners today. The incident management team is reassessing population and repopulation, in coordination with emergency management, the sheriff's office, and Truckee Meadows Fire daily. So that is a daily meeting that we have to talk about, can we allow people back into their communities? Is it safe to do so? Right now, NV Energy reports there are 3,000 without power and 317 without gas. They may re-energize some lines, but they also may de-energize some other areas just based on fire activity and what is safe for the first responders and for the community. They've expressed repeatedly not wanting to add to the disaster itself by keeping their infrastructure on and energized, so they'll de-energize as appropriate. And then I just want to set a reminder for expectations regarding communication. I know most of our incidents are typically fast-moving and we get a lot of information in a short period of time. This is a longer incident, a larger incident, the biggest we've seen in our area in over a decade. So as quickly as relevant information comes out for the public, we are pushing that out. The incident management team has a robust public information team as well within it. And so they are pushing that out through Humboldt Toyabe. And you can always check NCWeb for more information. Just Google NCWeb and it'll come up and you can scroll into into this fire and gather more information by day and even see back a little bit more. But I just want to repeat that we're pushing out that information in a coordinated fashion with all of our public information officers. We're tied in with the incident management team. And so as quickly as that comes, we will send it out. But it is slower than our typical local incident where that information is really fast moving, and so is the incident. So I just wanted to put that out to help set expectations for everyone. The shelter is currently at the senior center. It is not impacting operations over there. Huge thank you to HSA and the Red Cross for making that happen. We're seeing about 2 people per night. It's not a large population. Large animals are currently at UNR Equestrian Center in Reno and Fuji Park in Carson City. We've extended our gratitude to Carson City for all of their help with this as well. They have a number of large animals down there. But there are still multiple stalls and corrals open at both locations. We have been using Perimeter to share information about road closures, the fire, between first responders as well, and we've seen about 901,000 page views from Perimeter. So it's working, and we're sharing information. A reminder that if you are asked to leave, please do it. If you're asked to evacuate, please follow through with that evacuation order. We've had to send a couple of alerts to one location because people didn't leave, and then retardant drops were happening, and that's not healthy for them. So even if you think, the fire's not close, protective measures may be happening in your area, so it's important to leave if you're asked to do so. And then once you do leave, please stay out until first responders determine that it's safe for you to go back in. And then just another reminder that we're coordinating all of our efforts with regional, state, and federal partners. I've spoken this morning with both California and Nevada, possibly Utah. So we're working and coordinating with everyone that we need to, bringing those subject matter experts to the table. I've seen a lot of offers from the community, which is phenomenal. It just says a lot about who we are. I appreciate that, and we're working with our volunteer organizations active in disaster, our VOAD, to streamline the process for any offers that may come through. Right now, we're not looking for donations of stuff. We don't have any resource needs like that. So that's it for our report.
Thank you. And just to keep us on track, and I'm sure that commissioners have questions for you, just looking to DA Large, just give us a bit of guidance on what we can do. I know we can't take any action, but we can ask questions of Ms. Echeverria on this item.
On this you can. This
Okay.
is, we can't take any action. It's not agendized.
Sure.
But we need, questions would be fine on this situation.
Okay, I'll start with Commissioner Clark since this is in your district.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I've got a few comments, obviously. This is my third go-round with this type of activity since I've lived in Washoe Valley. So, I'm kind of desensitized in a point of personal safety. I know when it's time to go. I know when it's time to let the horses and the mules and the donkeys out and turn into a Western activity where every man for himself and get out of there. But that being said, I was 30 hours without power, and I think somebody needs to take a look at when a rural lifestyle versus a city neighborhood situation. We're on wells down there. I couldn't even fight I couldn't put out a firecracker with what I had. I had no water for 30 hours, no well, no refrigeration, can't brush my teeth, can't take a shower, can't flush the toilet. Not having power is a big issue in a rural area. We didn't have a fair fight at all if we had to defend our own property. Many people wanted to defend their own property. Many people have the capabilities of doing that and have the mindset of being able to do that and no one will leave. But if you don't have water, you don't have anything. So, I've been through other fires down there. And so when this is all done, and before the chair gavels me down, as usually happens, I'm not calling out any individual. I think the fire service is doing a fantastic job. They do what they do, and I've been watching it, and you can't compliment them more. We've got BLM firefighters, we've got local firefighters, we've got aircraft, we've got helicopters, we've got apparatus. They're all doing a great job. They're working around the clock, so hats off to them. But one of the issues, and I think it needs to be looked into when this is over, Mark Newman brought it up and another individual brought it up, but 20 to 30 minutes before somebody got there. I don't know if that's true or not, but we need to find out what the response time was, an initial response time. And I'm not saying they're right, and I'm not calling anybody out, but the public needs to hear what took place. And I'm going to take it a step further that you have no control over this. This county promised Washoe Valley a new fire station, I believe in 2019, and now it's 2024. And we still don't have the fire station out there. Could that have helped this situation? And it's not for you to answer, and I'm just throwing this out to the powers that be to hear this. This fire station didn't get built. It cost between $5 and $7 million more today than it did when it was supposed to be built. And the public needs to hear about this. I've heard it from the fire chief. I've heard about it from the union representatives. People who were in the fire service at that time, in the know, have directly laid the blame on this for meddling by a county commissioner in building this fire station. So that needs to get out there for everybody to hear. That being said, this is a situation where, again, no water, no communication as far as expectations. I've got a bunch of information that I'm going to talk about later when we have commissioner comments about the public information officer not giving good information from Truckee Meadows, so people are very unhappy with that. And these are constituents. These are the people who pay the bills, and these are the people who have their lives on the line, and they have some concerns. I have concerns, and I want to get the assessor involved instantly on this and make sure that all these properties come off the tax rolls. I would like to get a tour of what's taking place out there. I did talk with Chief Moore initially. I told him he didn't have to call me with updates because I know he had his hands full, and I'm good with getting information. But when we have no power, we have no internet, we can't recharge our cell phones. There was no cell phone service, so we got no phones, we've got no internet, we've got no electricity, we've got no water. Those are things that just took place. I have personal knowledge of those, and I just wanted the powers that be to hear those concerns. And I'm not hollering at anybody, I'm not calling anybody out, but people need to understand that when we got a rural situation, wells are involved, we need to have some generators available or have some other things available and some information that people have an idea of what's taking place. And you look at these fires from any particular angle and you think you know what's going on, but the smoke is deceptive. You don't know if it's coming at you, going away from you. So lots of information needs to be out there, and lots of folks were contacting me, coming over to my house, but we had no cell phone service. I know we have temporary cell towers down there now, and we do have cell service, but all of this neat and nifty way of communicating was not available. And on that same note, I went to the balloon races that morning, and there's some staff people here now that'll verify this. There was so many people at the balloon races that the cell phones didn't work there. And then later on in the afternoon, I'm thinking about, I couldn't get cell service at the balloon races where there was really no incident. It was a fun day, everybody's having a good time, and then you go home, and then you got a situation where you need cell service and you couldn't get it. So people need to know that that wasn't available. So you can't relay information and you can't rely on technology on these types of situations if you don't have power. Thank you.
Can I respond?
Yes, of course.
Commissioner Clark, I appreciate your comments, and what a fantastic opportunity to remind people of our personal preparedness message, which is modeled after the national message, which is create a kit, make a plan, stay informed. And it is recommended in that plan that you have water and food to supply you for 3 days, at a minimum 72 hours. So understand that's not always a financial option for people, and we work with our volunteer partners to ensure we provide as much possible. But that is the recommendation, so 72 hours to be able to rely on your own, or we recommend also personalizing those kits for medication and whatever your family might need to be away from your home for at minimum 3 days. That is the message that we consistently push. That is the message on our website, and that is the national standard. I will say also that we do engage in an after-action review, so many of the details that you're looking for can be gathered during that review when this incident is over. It's not done before the end of the incident, and it is done by a third party that we bring in to run that after-action review so we can identify our gaps and do better in the future. I cannot speak to the firehouse, and I understand that you're not asking me to. I do know that Chief Moore would love to give you a tour. He mentioned Friday, I believe, if you're available. As far as cell phones, we do have 5 cell on wheels out in the area now, so there is plenty of service. I went out there yesterday, was able to use it in a multitude of areas, never had a problem. Speaking of the balloon races, I would be remiss if I did not mention that we had our Events Operations Center stood up for that event in the ranch house. We were tied in with both Washoe Dispatch, REMSA Dispatch. We had Truckee Meadows Fire in the room, Washoe County Sheriff's Office, REMSA, the event itself, UNR and the Weather Service, as well as emergency management. So should a message need to get out, event organizers were ready to do that with the technology available to them that did not include cell phones. We also send messages via radio and telephone, so they do sell emergency radios. I recommend that people get those as part of their kit in the Make a Plan, Stay Informed, Have a Kit. In the Stay Informed portion of that, knowing where to get information ahead of time in an emergency, like Perimeter Map, like our verified agencies, our PIOs, is really important. So building that for yourself will help cut down on that heartache during an incident, but it is still a disaster. So I will say, while it can cause heartache not to have power or not to have cell service, it is better than not having a home. So I will remind everyone that if you are asked to leave, please leave. If the power is out, it is out for a reason. That is the safety of the first responders and the safety of the community.
So again, I'm not expecting any investigation to happen now. Now is the time to finish putting out the fire and figure out what we need to do. And the work that I saw was fantastic. The pilots flying around with the helicopters, it was like, if it wasn't for the fire situation, it was like an air show. It was like aerial ballet. I mean, they were fantastic the way they were. And the good thing is they had the water source right there. I mean, they were dipping and dropping within minutes and just back and forth. So doing a great job. Don't get me wrong at all that. But this is the first time out of 3 times that we didn't have water available to ourselves, and that's a big issue. I mean, if a little spot fire happens, it could be put out by ourselves and not have to worry about getting larger on your own property. So it's a concern, and I just wanted to bring that point out as living through it. I'm not complaining. I had no heartburn. I wasn't worried. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about reality of what happened to me, just so you know. That's all. I'm just talking. I have enough food. I have enough toilet paper. I have enough whatever I need. I could probably last there a month without any assistance. But that being said, it still would have been convenient to have some water. So.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you. Vice Chair Herman?
I just want to thank you for all you guys are doing down there, and I'm praying for you, so.
Thank you, Commissioner Herman.
Commissioner Garcia?
Thank you so much for taking the time to be here and giving us those updates and reminders in many cases. This is heartbreaking. I just can't stop thinking about the people who lost their homes. This is a tremendous crisis in our community, and I know all of us are kind of sitting there like wondering how we can help and what we can do. I just think that, we've seen so much coordination and our community coming together in these times of crisis in the past, but all the agencies coming together, the efforts from small businesses, but not to overlook the small acts of kindness that happen between neighbor to neighbor. There's constituents throughout the whole region that have taken in evacuees into their own personal homes, helped with medical needs and transportation and that sort. So I just, not only a huge thank you to you, but the overall community that we have that is very, very special and we always see come through during difficult times. So thank you, Kelly.
I believe Mr. Rogers says, look for the helpers.
That's great. Commissioner Andriola.
So I'll echo the sentiments of just really a big shout out. I think you know better than anyone that when you have an incident, especially at this magnitude, coming together and depending on everyone is critical to the operation. And I think there may be even a more higher level of retention of the national message that you have reiterated. Even getting a hand-cranked radio, you know, when an emergency arises, is not necessarily the time to be planning for that. And it's unfortunate because everyone's lives are busy and they don't think about anything like this happening. But I think it reminds us how important it is to have, literally make a kit, have a plan, and to also a shout out to all the communication that did occur. I know it was a struggle. Most incidents like this are a bit of a struggle, but perimeter map was always up. And kudos for that, standing that up. Seeing now that the communication is going through the forestry, through Toby and Humboldt Forestry is now handling that communication, is my understanding. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Okay, so I think, you know, there's never enough time, but at the same time, priorities with people on the ground are first. And then the safety of those who are in their homes is also equally important. So I think your message of, if you're asked to leave, leave. And I know I was on the phone to several people that I know live in the area and encouraging them to start thinking about, you know, packing up what they need to pack up. In some cases, in fact, they did get a knock on the door, so it is heartbreaking. I think Commissioner Garcia's point about the community coming together and really doing everything that can be done. But I do have a question for you. What can we do? I know I was actively calling and sharing information, and you know, as information came out, even literally this morning on the way here, getting a call because the Nevada Forestry had put out, these are the 5 best ways to get communication. These are the 5 ways, and so I'm pushing that out. But what can we do to help? Is there anything that you can give us with an action plan to do what we can do to help? Other than stay away. The looky-loos obviously are a big, big factor, and that message was really clear. If you don't need to be there, don't be up there. So I would love to hear your suggestions on what we can do as citizens.
Absolutely. I appreciate the question. I've said before in presentations to the board, you know, the main goal in any disaster for a commissioner from our perspective is to be that listening ear to the community, and then you know, follow the chain of communication through the county manager to the teams that are doing the things. And that those are the teams in the Emergency Operations Center and the teams in the field. We set up those chains of communication to avoid confusion, and you sound like you're already doing it in listening to your friends and neighbors and their concerns. So again, you know, I appreciate all the messages that are passed along that way. I was remiss. I did not mention that there is a community meeting this evening at 7 at DePoli Middle School, run by the incident management team for those impacted directly by the fire. So, you know, those type of things, those community supports are already happening, and we're looking to set up also a community resource center, as is a best practice to provide resources and information for the community. So at this time, I have no resource needs, but just continue to be that listening ear for the community and to pass information along.
Do you know if that meeting is going to have a Zoom component? So
I believe Humboldt Toyota posted it on Facebook, so the information is there.
Okay, thanks. If they didn't, it would be helpful, I think, for those that want to give the folks that are directly impacted the opportunity to be there first, and then those that can watch to be a support. I
will
think that
certainly
would be
pass
helpful
that
if
along
that's
to the
possible.
incident management team.
And thank you for all your hard work and for everyone else, and please extend our deepest appreciation, because being in any type of emergency like this is heartbreaking. You know, it really is, so thank you.
I just have 2 items, and of course want to convey my thanks. I want to start with, so you had mentioned that we have a volunteer group that's going to help with folks who want to give, especially to firefighters. So where online, if they want to do food, that's what I'm hearing from community members who have been displaced and they want to do something to thank the firefighters.
So we have on our website currently just a standing list of ways to get involved with organizations around our community that are set up to take donations or volunteers. And then we're working with our VOAD agency to compile a ad hoc list for this incident specifically. So
Okay.
we're hoping that will come out shortly. But we did just officially request to activate the VOAD. So it is in the works today. And I'm sorry, I don't have a shorter
No
timeline
worries.
for you.
So emergency washo is where people should go for that, or no?
It's actually readywasho.com.
Ready Washo, okay. And then for the IMT transition, and I know that folks are looking forward to tonight's meeting that have been affected by the fire. I've been hearing, is there any way we could do just a quick media event a day where it just says, here's on the ground, here are what the winds are, you know, here's how many acres have burned, just quick facts for folks, because I've been asked for that, and I think it would, this information, no question, is on the NC web and on all of our social media pages, but I think if there was a way that we could have every day, like during the Caldor fire, I forget what time it was, but every day we all got on a call and we kind of knew generally what was going on. Or same thing with, I'm thinking of COVID, and those kind of daily briefs that then the media had a great way to just say, okay, here's just the brief information for the community. And I know that, again, we're 3 days in, so building that is a little tough, but I wanted to pass that on.
Thank you. So the incident management team is pushing out at, I believe, 10 o'clock every day.
Okay.
Updated information but if you're looking for something like on video or a voice brief,
That's what some people
then I
have
will pass
texted
that.
me.
I will pass that request along.
Okay, thank you. I appreciate that. Wonderful. Well, if there's nothing else from the board,
I have one more question.
Commissioner Clark.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I just had a technical kind of a question, but I think it'd be helpful for people to realize when you say the fire is 0% controlled now, is that the case? It's,
Contained.
pardon me?
0% contained.
0% contained. But when I look around, and just from my own thoughts, I look around and it looked like the fire started close to the valley floor, kind of burned across the valley, got over to the Little Washoe Lake, and then went north, and then it turned around, kind of went back up the canyon and going up towards Mount Rose ski area. So when I see all of those hundreds and hundreds of acres that are burnt and they're not burning now, aren't those considered contained when the fire isn't burning there?
So I am not a fire specialist. I can't speak to
I'll ask the chief then.
how
Yeah.
they,
Yeah, I'm
please
trying
ask
to
the
figure
chief.
that out.
But I will say that what we did see yesterday was some smoldering in those areas, and that it is a priority of the incident management team to ensure that those smolders don't become a bigger issue. Heat has a way of getting into the ground, so even though on the surface there's nothing burning, it can be present in the roots of trees.
Sure. I didn't want to put you on the spot. I'm talking about scorched earth, not burning.
Yes.
Nothing left to burn. Rocks aren't going to burn.
Well, nothing
and-
on the surface, sir, is what I'm saying.
Yeah, and it was not trees to start with, so there's probably not a big root system at all. But it's out, and it's hundreds of acres that are unlikely are going to come back. Even there might be other places, but I'm just wondering how that that is figured out. I'll ask the chief. I'll
Yeah,
get an answer
and
from the chief.
I will add on there that even though, there's nothing left to burn, as you say, the ground is still incredibly hot. I've done damage assessment post-fire 2 days before where there's nothing left to burn, but the ground is melting my shoes. So the heat remains in the area on the ground level, and so what the crews are doing is going through and making sure that the heat that's present is still no longer a threat to life safety, I believe.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Echeverria, and we'll be talking soon, I'm sure. All right, we'll now go to our regular manager and commissioner announcements. Manager Brown, do you have anything else for us?
I do, Madam Chair. First of all, following up on the Davis Creek situation, there is the United Way of Northern Nevada and Sierra has set up an emergency assistance fund. So if you go to their website, you can donate to victims of this response. I just thought I'd get that out. Number two, the Board of Equalization has 2 regular positions open. The deadline for applying is September 13th. The terms for these 2 positions begin in January of 2025 and go through June 30th, 2028. So anybody interested in that, you can visit our website for more information or call 311. And then the last thing is we will be bringing the 7 Magic Mountains item back on the next agenda on the 17th. The staff that needed to do that were not in the office. I do want to make it clear the chair did ask for that to be on this agenda. We were not able to make that happen.
Thank you,
That's
Manager
it.
Brown. I appreciate it. Okay, Vice Chair Herman.
Thank you, Madam Chair. From listening to some of the folks in public comment, I'm thinking that I'd like to suggest that we have an independent audit of the voter rolls. I think we'd have time to get that done before the election. I think it's kind of important. And then kind of in hindsight, we probably could have avoided a lot of these problems with voter rolls, et cetera, if we had an election integrity bill that guided us, or if we had the Citizens Election Advisory Board, as I had asked for. That's all I have.
Thank you, Commissioner Herman. And Commissioner Clark?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I've got a few items I'd like to go over. The first being what a great event the Reno Great Balloon Race event was. It was a really fun event. You just see a lot of community involvement. I don't know how many acres that big field is where they launch. I don't know, 400 or 500 acres out there. It was wall-to-wall blankets, sleeping bags, families, kids. It looked like a big giant slumber party out there. But getting from one end to the other, you practically couldn't walk out there. There were so many people, and it was a fun event. But trying to catch somebody on a phone and find some coordinates was difficult. And it just proved to me that what I found out to be true at a later part in that same day is you get 5, 10, 15, 20,000 people all on their cell phones at the same time. You don't have the reliability that you'd look for. So just wanted to point that out. But the balloon races were great. I had a real good opportunity last Friday. I was over at the courthouse. Judge Pearson put on a class, a continuous education class. For those of you who don't know Judge Pearson, he's over at the courthouse, one of the judges. Great job over there. But geez, what a great teacher he is. He really gave a good lecture. It was an hour-and-a-half lecture, and it seemed like about 15 minutes. I mean, he just covered all the NRS statutes, had some human interest stories, and just did a great job. The topic was drunk driving, and talked about the different ways that it's been treated over the years, and the different ways they handle what they do over there, and the way they're trying to update their work over there. They had some great statistics. If you been caught drinking and driving in a neighborhood area or city area, it's usually about 200 times that you're drinking and driving before you get caught. But in the rural areas, it's about 2,000 times that you've been drinking and driving before you actually get caught. So it's just really enlightening. Some of the stuff that they covered for the continuous education, I wish they would share with the public. I think you can get their PowerPoint presentation, and I think lots of folks that are involved with the courts on a first-time situation should also look at a lot of that information before they have any interaction with the courts, just to figure out where they are. But a great class. So hats off to Judge Pearson over there. Registrar of Voters. I got a card in the mail asking me if I'm still there. So I appreciate the Registrar of Voters doing what she's doing to Mr. St. John's point. She is trying to clean up the rolls. However, if you found 14,000 plus folks on there, that needs to be addressed as well. So I encourage what Commissioner Herman said is cleaning up the rolls as much as we can before the next election. Canceled meeting with the CHAB. You know, this is, we've had 2 meetings approximately in the last year. You know, the fire is a big issue. I live there, it's in my neighborhood, I know all about it, but the folks that are living on the streets, the folks that are homeless, their top priority is not the fire. We need to figure out how we can continue with the leadership of this county during difficult times when other things are happening, natural disasters, and make sure that we're addressing other issues. These are underserved folks. They don't have, people are worried about putting bread on their table. These people don't have a table. They don't have a roof. They don't have walls. They're living on the streets. The fire is an issue for the folks that it's in that neighborhood. But this homeless population are many times on the streets for years. We're trying to find a way to make sure that these people have a more comfortable life. I attended a Reno City Council meeting last week. They had some very interesting statistics. They interviewed, the police interviewed people, their ambassadors interviewed people. I posted it on my Facebook page. There's still, out of all the folks that they talked to, there were 277, I believe is the number, don't quote me exactly, but over 200, 277 I'm gonna say, from memory, that declined any type of service. You know, as part of the community Homeless Advisory Board, I'd like to know why those folks, and not put any pressure on anybody, but maybe we should have a survey finding out why and figure out if there's a way we can improve their perception of the CARES campus, we can improve their perception of facilities and see if we can get more people off the street. So I think it's important to have a Community Homeless Advisory Board meeting on a regular basis and more often. So I'm asking just throwing that out to the universe, that we need to get on track, and probably I would suggest a meeting a month until we can get our hands around why people are not using the facilities that we're providing. Back to on the same note, the courthouse, I forgot to mention that. At the courthouse, they have, every Wednesday, they've got a desk there that puts people in touch with welfare and community services. There's over 40 different community services available for folks that don't have the resources at the courthouse. And Judge Pearson's involved in that as well. Find my notes here. Give me a second. So that's something that's available, and we need to publicize that throughout the county to make people aware that there are services available for people that are out there that may not be aware of that. So CHAB meeting, we need to get back on track. I'm disappointed we didn't have it yesterday. I covered the City of Reno report that 277 people didn't want services. We should have a survey and find out why. And lastly, I want to talk about the $500,000 for colored rocks to the museum. You know, I was very impressed with the folks that were here this morning. Some of them are still here. You know, $500,000 I think could do a lot of good with the folks in the community here that are looking for services. And I think there's better ways to spend that money for people instead of art installation. So I'm disappointed it's not on this agenda. I'd like to know exactly who was out and why they were out and why we couldn't just put it back on the agenda. It was already typed up. We could have just put it back on and just said for reconsideration. So telling us it's not on this because we were too busy and the staff wasn't available, got to be honest with you, sounds like a lame excuse to me yet again. So there we go. Thank you.
Commissioner Garcia.
Thank you. Madam Chair, I just want to say thank you for being so flexible and being sensitive to the needs of the community and modifying the schedule today. I didn't expect to get an update from Kelly, and I think that was really timely and very much needed. So thank you for offering that to not only us, but to the community. It's a lot of people are going through a lot of grief and trauma and don't know how their life is going to be affected from one day to the next. And so we just need to remember to support each other in the aftermath of this. I know we're only in day 3, but this crisis has long-term effects on these families and neighbors that are experiencing this loss, not only loss of homes, in many cases loss of animals, pets, livestock, just really tragic stories. I know we had a park ranger, county staff member that was greatly impacted, his family, so my thoughts and prayers go out to everybody that was impacted. And just remember that, you know, there's community resources for mental health services, and no matter how difficult it is, sometimes I think to talk about those things, it's really important to take advantage of those community resources because they can weigh on you and they can have long-term effects. So please encourage your friends and neighbors to talk and seek resources if needed. Speaking of loss, over the weekend, we lost a Nevada treasure with the passing of Guy Clifton, and he was a journalist and a mentor, a historian, and the way I knew him was a dog lover, specifically with his love for Hidden Valley Regional Park. And he reached out to me as a park commissioner earlier this year, and I see Eric Crump and Dave Solero in the crowd over there through our community services department, and he had advocated for some seating areas at the Link Piazza Dog Park. And historically, this hasn't always been very well utilized because what happens is people sit down, they get on their phones, and then they're not watching their animals and being responsible pet owners. And so I just was looking through some old messages with Guy, and he advocated for it. And I was like, Guy, we got to make sure that they don't mess this up because they're going to pull those tables out of there. But I just wanted to say thank you to our staff for making that request come to fruition. And Guy, if you're watching, we'll make sure to take care of it so nobody messes it up for the dogs. But I just wanted to give him a salute and recognition for the impact he's made in the state of Nevada. Last but not least, we have a great event this weekend, this Saturday, that's going to be promoting fostering and adopting and mentoring within Washoe County. As many of you know, we've been circulating this information a lot. Huge call to action, huge need. We have 600 children that are in need of foster families, this in our Washoe County. And so there's an event that was posted on our Washoe County social media. It's this Saturday, and I closed my screen so I don't have the details, but go ahead and, yeah, it's the FAM Walk. And I'll just quickly pull it up. It will be Saturday, September 14th from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. at the Sparks Marina, which is located at 300 Howard Drive. So please stop by and support. And if you can't be there, go ahead and circulate that around. We need to get the messaging out as much as we can. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Commissioner Garcia. Commissioner Andriola.
I am just going to echo Guy Clifton. I do also want to echo the thanks to Mr. Crump and Mr. Solero and anyone else who helped. I've known Guy for a long time as well, and Hidden Valley is my district. He was a constituent, so called me immediately, who I spoke with Commissioner Garcia, because she serves on the Parks Commission, and it was great to see his, one of his dogs' name is Scruffy, and we're going to miss not only Guy, but certainly seeing the love of animals and the love of Nevada. And he's from Gabbs, Nevada. And he's a Hall of Fame Reno rodeo announcers inducted into the Hall of Fame in 2023, esteemed journalist, and has given more to this community than you probably can imagine. So thanks to staff for helping at the park and having all the dog lovers, including Guy Clifton's Scruffy, really have that opportunity. And I thought it was really creative how you guys handled that without going into the details. But I also was going to promote the fam walk, but you've already done that as well. Foster children are a big part of my heart, and I know many others, and it's a real dire need. So if you have any interest in giving the greatest gift of all, and that's a loving home, I would encourage you, if you can't come, think about being a foster parent. Think about, it's a special gift to have anyone do that. So it's really, really, I just met with the Human Services Agency about this subject, and words cannot express how many folks are needed to foster children. It's really, I don't want to alarm, but it is like a major crisis. It really, really is not being able to keep up with the need. And so I hope that everyone can not only make it on Saturday, but more importantly, can think about giving and opening up your heart and your doors to children that have experienced the unimaginable. So thank you.
Thank you. With that, we will move into item 5. Manager Brown.
Item 5 is a presentation by Washoe County Commissioner Support Team members, Candy Ramos and Alexandra Wilson, regarding the Citizens Advisory Board, or CAB program, to include CAB attendance data, community service findings, and discussion of a possible reimagination of the program.
Thank you very much. Welcome, team. Sir, you are disrupting our meeting. Mr. St. John, please don't.
Why don't you talk about the election stuff I bring in? You never answer us.
Mr. St. John, thank you. Okay, welcome, team.
Good morning. Thank you for having us. My name is Candy Ramos, and I am the Community Outreach Coordinator for Washoe County.
Good morning, you guys, and I am also Alexandra Wilson, a Community Outreach Coordinator for our Commission Support Team. So both Candy and myself have been a part of the Commission Support Team since its inception in 2021, and today we want to provide you some information and request feedback on our Citizen Advisory Board, also known as the CABs, for possible reimagination for enhanced community engagement. Cool. All right, so as I had mentioned, we are part of the Commission Support Team. This team was born out of the need to provide greater and more expansive community engagement for Washoe County citizens. The team is charged with a couple of different tasks and duties, which include overseeing commissioner-led initiatives, providing concierge service for escalated constituent requests, creating community outreach possibilities and opportunities to learn about county programs and services, as well as managing our boards and commission appointments, which I've seen you guys here before, as well as coordinating our Washoe County Leadership Academy, also known as WCLA, which feeds directly into our applications for boards and commissions and appointments for a diverse constituency. And lastly, and of course why we're here, the management of our citizen advisory boards. Well, actually, let me go back real quick. So currently, we host 72 meetings a year just for our citizen advisory boards, which spans across 8 of our CABs, in addition to other community meetings, which we note as necessary. And CABs take place. Yeah, I just moved the microphone. Sorry. CAB meetings take place at night and on the weekends. So first we want to talk about the history of the CABs, since there have been many iterations throughout our history. CABs right now are primarily the way that Washoe County currently does community outreach. So with the brief history, CABs have existed in Washoe County in many iterations, but consistently they have regularly scheduled meetings by appointees by the commissioner of that area with the purpose of providing advisement to Washoe County on topics within their unincorporated neighborhoods. So as you can see, initially one of the first CABs was created in 1975, followed by a few others. So that was just under 50 years ago, which led to the creation of 13 of our citizen advisory boards. In 2013, the CABs were reduced via a revitalization effort to improve community feedback, which is where we start to see the struggle of engagement start to become a theme. CABs have shifted focus from development to community back and forth over the last 11 years since that time. With the CABs being dissolved in 2021 and then reformed back to life in its current iteration, as they are now known in a two-track system, which we now have community-based topics, as well as our neighborhood development meetings as entirely separate meetings. So our neighborhood development meetings are now freestanding, and we would just want to touch on those a little bit to accommodate individuals who only want to hear about particular developments, either one or many. They are timelier for our residents as they occur much earlier in the development process and before developers and builders can submit their applications. Neighborhood development meetings are not held to our open meeting law standards, so individuals get more than 3 minutes to speak, and it's more of a back and forth conversation. And it also allows for negotiation and a deeper conversation with our developers as we record these meetings and include them on staff reports for governing bodies to make sure that the promises negotiated are included when they go to those governing bodies. So there are still numerous opportunities for the public to engage with neighborhood development meetings and development as individuals are most interested in, which include those neighborhood development meetings, Planning Commission, Board of Adjustment, and then at times the Board of County Commissioners. So today we really want to beg the question, is the way that we are doing community outreach today because that's the way we've always done it for the last 50 years. We want to differentiate between community outreach, which is largely one way that county representatives speak to our constituents, versus community engagement, which is more of a conversation based primarily on listening and then providing that information back in a continuous feedback loop. And with that, I will go ahead and kick it over to Candy to talk about our proposed questions today.
Thank you, Alexandra. So our goal, if the goal of the Commission Support Program is to provide greater and more expansive community engagement, we're asking you today to discuss, are we effectively achieving that goal? Is there two-way communication between Washoe County and the residents that it serves? And we would like to also focus on not what is the county proposing to take away, this is just a discussion today, but also how can we improve engagement? So not taking it away, but enhancing it. We're talking about opportunities for true engagement through creative means to address emerging concerns that we spot through trends from dialogue between constituents and the county. And how we can best utilize assets, so to include technology and staff to reach more people and in meaningful ways. And lastly, contemplating the statistics. So is the juice worth the squeeze is what we've said here. And to that, we're not afraid of the hard work or long hours that go into these meetings. It's about the true engagement. Are we reaching as many people as possible? And further, the opportunity cost. The amount of work that goes into these meetings based on the number of people that actually attend them. Are we achieving all that we can? So we have some statistics here that are presented on the screen. We've also provided you with some information that's been handed out by the clerk that shows some information. This is based on 2023 numbers because it was the whole year. We can tell you that 2024 is looking very similar, if not actually fewer people is what we're on trend to achieve in 2024. So last year, we had 733 staff members, presenters, and CAB members, and 838 public attendees. Those are not unique individuals. Some of those people attend every meeting. We have found that topic is king. When there is a topic of great importance to the community, Ormat and Gerlach being one of them, a majority of people will come out to those kinds of meetings. And then if those 838 individuals were unique, we would still be serving less than 0.25% of Washoe County's population, so 0.17. Yet the cabs take up a significant amount of commissioner staff support time. And then at these meetings, a single staff member will fill many roles. So that includes adherence to open meeting law, legal. We have our DDA here today. We are not attorneys, but we sometimes have to rein in off-topic agenda items. Sometimes we have to, frankly, provide security to some extent. We're also not trained in that, technology services. And then sometimes we act as subject matter experts on topics where we are not subject matter experts. And so the real question is, we wonder if staff were not creating, managing, and performing follow-up on 72 meetings per year, what could community engagement look like? And this is just what we're here today. We're just exploring this opportunity and also discussing the role of government. We have heard feedback from people saying the cabs are a great opportunity for people to come together, meet their neighbors, express concerns, but what is really the role of government? Is it just for us to speak to people, or is it to listen? These are just two photos. One on the left is a regularly scheduled citizen advisory board in Warm Springs. That one we had cab members, County Manager Brown was there, I was there, we had Washoe County Sheriff, Truckee Meadows Fire, and then we had 3 people from the community who attended. On average, Warm Springs has 3 people per meeting. So that's just one example, and we also have additional data from the other meetings as well. Versus on the right, you'll see it was a senior scam seminar, which was an event that was proposed to a cab about how can we help seniors prevent scams. We thought that this was based more broadly than just one cab, and so we threw a community meeting, and we had well over 100 people in attendance. So we're looking to do more topic-based meetings as opposed to just regularly scheduled meetings where we are filling the space. We would like to hold meetings based on topics that are of importance. And you will see we've also handed out some of our surveys and focus group information. We took 2 surveys conducted over the past year. We had about 2,000 responses on that first survey and 4,300 to the second. And we asked people how they wanted to hear from Washoe County and how they wanted to speak to Washoe County. And we also held 3 focus groups. 2 had cab members, and then 1 had stakeholders, for instance, Truckee Meadows Fire, Washoe County Sheriff, who attend a lot of these meetings. We found that a majority of respondents who replied to these live in incorporated cities of Reno and Sparks. And cabs right now only focus on unincorporated areas. So with the cabs, we largely ignore a lot of people who are in the incorporated cities in Washoe County. There's also a significant demand for online and text options, including participating in community topics and engagement on their own terms, whether that be a recorded video, a seminar, texting in, things like that, versus in-person meetings. That was the first choice for 7% of people who replied to that. And 41% said that these meetings that are in person are not useful, versus 20% of people who think that they are useful. And we also found that people feel very comfortable calling you directly. I'm sure that this comes as no surprise to you, since your phones are probably ringing off the hook. People don't need to contact a liaison. We explored that idea is, if there's a community liaison, can they just call that person and then that person contact you? We found people feel very comfortable calling you directly or dialing 311. And then our focus groups indicated that cab members feel they need a job. That's been expressed here a few times today as well. People feeling like, what is the role of the cab? We used to vote on things. We don't vote on things anymore. So people are seeking actionable items on agendas to feel worthwhile so that presenters can then share data online and in person, which would then, we hope, reduce the need for physical meetings. We do realize that some people don't have access to internet, and so we're trying to solve those problems through digital equity outreach, things like that. But this is what we have come across by a majority of people through our engagement surveys and in our focus groups. I'll take it back to Alexandra.
Thank you, Candy. And so based on those statistics and that information, we wanted to provide some key takeaways because there's a lot of information to provide. The first of which is the 72 meetings a year across our 8 cabs with limited participation, which kind of shows us that quantity doesn't always equal quality. I did hear comments about the 43,000 in staff time in 2023 to reach less than 1% of the community, which is 0.17%. That staff time does not include any of our higher paid positions, so that is made by the lowest paid employee times the average amount of the meetings times the time and a half that would be to accrue either comp or overtime. And those estimations also don't include time that it takes to prepare, plan, and do post-meeting activities, which include now the minutes. We used to have a minutes person who we paid just under $20,000 to produce the minutes for each of these cabs, and now that has been absorbed by staff. So because a lot of these meetings are after hours, it includes hundreds of hours of cumulative comp time by both our staff as well as the individuals who attend. And as you've seen in the stats, oftentimes we have either more staff or equal number of staff members to the individuals that attend that are public. So what we wanted to also note is topic-driven meetings are more focused, targeted, and have seen greater participation. They are not limited to open meeting law, and participants can attend only when interested in that topic, which we've seen time and time again. For example, with the senior scams, lands bill, people really wanted to hear about that. When we had the Secretary of State come out, that had a greater participation than just your everyday updates when it comes to our citizen advisory boards. Something that we hear a lot in communications is we just need to communicate more. But what we found is it's not a communication issue. When people hear about topics that they care about, they come out in droves. For example, the soccer stadium, we had a lot of individuals come to the South Truckee Cab, even though it wasn't a part of the agenda, but that's what people cared about, so that's what they came out to talk about. It wasn't about the items that were on the agenda. And so what we also want to talk about, and Candy had mentioned, was opportunities for exploration. So what are the things that we could be doing if we were able to reassess our citizen advisory boards and look at ways that we can engage further with our constituency? So some of the benefits to reassessing this is increased time to identify hot topic-based meetings to convey to all of the citizens, not just unincorporated. So we've heard from our constituents in many of these meetings and from you guys on what are the things that you guys want to hear about, or what are the things that you guys are hearing about that we can communicate with. Vice Chair Herman, we've heard today, and we've heard at a lot of meetings that people want to hear about elections. Instead of doing a citizen advisory board, we could do an election community meeting. We could do that regularly scheduled to just talk about the things that we are doing, the things right and wrong, and how do we go, from there. And so we want to touch on those points that people really care about to bring those individuals out to get the information that they need. The other thing that we could benefit from is reducing in staff time. We talked about working after hours and weekends, which can lead to burnout and excess compensation for minimal reward. I do want to reiterate, this is something I love to do. I know Candy and our team, we love our job. We love helping individuals and getting them to that aha moment of, the county really does care about what I care about. And so we're not afraid of hard work. We're not afraid of weekends. We're not afraid of after hours. We just want to make sure that it's meaningful for the people that we're interfacing with. The other thing is the opportunity to host semi-regular listening sessions. As you guys have seen, and we showed in the stats, people really like to talk to their commissioners. You guys represent your districts, and so if we could have more of those meetings where it's commission-led, where you guys can meet with those constituents and hear those concerns firsthand instead of in a report or an after action, that is something we would like to focus on. In addition, we'd like to do increased jurisdictional messaging, both to unincorporated and unincorporated parts of Washoe County, again, touching on those individuals that we often ignore, and the opportunity to grow existing and new programs. In Incline, for example, Chair Hill, we're talking about doing a micro academy for Tahoe because they are so far removed geographically from this area that we want to focus on them directly. In our survey, we saw that people really want to text us, which is something we would love to do, but we don't necessarily have the staff time or the ability to focus and do texting capabilities at this time. And then we want to just find creative ways that all residents can feel useful. I've heard when we did the Spanish Springs workshop that people wanted to do how-to government videos, and that's something that we could help to produce, how to get your business license, how to reserve at a park, so on and so forth. And then we want to do greater support, if we had the ability, to assist with our neighborhood development meetings through our communication and outreach tools. A lot of people do get hung up that with development, they only notice 750 feet from the project. However, our team messages out to our district list, which include anywhere from 2,000 to 4,000 people, and depending on the topic, sometimes it can reach up to 10,000 individuals in that email blast, not including next door or additional posts. So with that, just going back to our proposed questions, with the goal, are cabs allowing us to be effective to reach our goals? our citizen advisory boards, advisory being the key, advising us on topics in their area? And if not, how can we reassess this so that they are either meeting that standard or we are providing greater engagement with our community? What are the opportunities for true engagement? We mentioned a couple possibilities that we had thought of, and I know that we've met with you a couple different times. We have our quarterlies with you guys, and so what are ways that you guys can see opportunities for true engagement? What assets should we be utilizing to reach more constituents in meaningful ways? We talked about technology and staff. And if we continue the CAB program the way we've always done it, in all sorts of iterations throughout history, throughout the last 50 years, is it going to be worthwhile? So with that, again, thank you guys for allowing us to come and speak to you today. We want to welcome any questions about the CAB program, community engagement in general, and ask recommendations or discussion from the board on ways that the commission support team can be more effective.
Thank you very much. And before I turn it over to the board for discussion, I know that it's really hard as staff to come and question the way we do things. And I know that it probably was very stressful for you to come up to this meeting, and when this was agendized, I know that we heard from our constituents' concerns, and I don't think anyone at this dais or in the public is insinuating that either one of you are not committed to your jobs, committed to the citizenry, and seeing how you can do things better. And I think that it's our role to continue to see how can we best serve the public, and that's really what you're doing today. And so even if the board decides to make no changes, which may be an outcome of this, I think it's really good to always assess how we do things and see how we can make sure that we support all the community, but also we're not ever, and I know the staff was not doing this, ever underestimating the incredible work that the CABs do for this community. And so I just wanted to root the discussion in that and make sure that I brought forth my appreciation for it's scary to come and question how we do things. And so thank you for doing that, and we'll have a great discussion, I'm sure. So I'll just go down the line. Vice Chair Herman, your thoughts?
Okay, thank you, Madam Chair. Of course, cabs are a big thing to me because it's truly the voice of the people. And I appreciate everything you do. I know it's hard to leave your home at night and come have a meeting with us somewhere and all that, but, you know, I've been involved in it. It's like part of me, you know. I've been involved with cabs for over 40 years. And after they stole them from us, took me 9 years to get them back on board. So they're important to me, and they're important to the people, especially in District 5, where people are spread out all over many hundreds of thousands of acres, you know, miles and miles and miles of Nevada, and Washoe County is District 5, probably close to 90% of the county. So those people don't have a very good amount of representation unless the cabs occur. Cabs are a training ground for people of all political walks of life. They serve, you know, both are independents or people that don't even are in a political party, but the cabs bring that all together, and they serve the people to give the people back their voice. Sometimes we don't understand what they're asking for, but they do need that support from us, especially District 5, because it is so spread out. Gerlach is great, you know. They have a small cab, but they represent all those people. They feel like, you know, because they're so far out there, that they're just kind of out on a limb up there. We didn't have a cab up there. I don't know, you know. they discuss a lot of important things at the cab. And they learn a lot about what's going on at the county. And like I said, the cabs are a training ground for folks of all walks of life that want to join the cab and learn about open meeting law, for instance. That's a subject we haven't covered in our cabs, really. And that's an important thing. That was always stressed when I was a cab member for many, many years. What our cabs have been lacking is our development. And we used to have that for years and years and years. Every development was brought before the cabs first, the voice of the people again. And so I kind of the fox got into the hen house, so to speak, and kind of took it away from the people, the voice of the people. So I am for keeping cabs. You're going to have a lot of unhappy people if they get cut back. Our sheriff deputies, they love coming to our cab meetings. They really do. And our fire crews, we're kept up to snuff on what's going on with our fires and all that, and how to stay safe and learn all the rules that we need to learn. And I feel that we should give them that much. I mean, $43,000 a year is kind of chicken feed when we have a budget of $1 billion. So I think we can afford to have our cabs. We have had our cabs during thick and thin times. And I'll quit nagging, but I keep the cabs and add the development, and most of my district will be happy.
Do you want us to reply to that?
Yes, that would be great.
Thank you, Commissioner Herman. We agree that $43,000 is not a great amount in the grand scheme of things. What that does speak to is the opportunity cost that we're losing for staff hours versus things that we could be doing that's more engaging to more than 0.17% of the population. In the instance of Gerlach, for instance, this year, we've had 31 total attendees of the cabs to date and 78 presenters. So that's cab members, presenters, Washoe County Sheriff, things like that. So that's more than twice as many people who are involved in the planning of the meeting than who are attending. And we're very happy to throw topic-based meetings. So for instance, last year, the ORMAT was a big topic in Gerlach. That had 36 people at one meeting. That would have been something that we would have wanted to have a community meeting about because we know that people do want to come out and express themselves and have the county hear them in that. So that is an opportunity that we could look at for sure.
Well, in most cabs, there is that opportunity to have a community meeting at any time, but still have your regular cab meetings. I mean, we have regular meetings. Why don't we keep it real? Our board meetings are every month. We have a meeting, right? At least one. And we're on a whole lot of other boards and all that sort of thing. We're just asking for one meeting in these areas for the people. The people. This is the people's thing, not any specialty thing. It's for the people, the voice of the people, okay? So that's what I'm getting at.
Chair Hill, if I can also add
Yes.
to that as well. So a couple of things that you had mentioned that I just wanted to touch on really briefly was you had mentioned that they're a training ground for individuals that want to get involved in Washoe County. And I would say that that probably, I would say, was the case more so since we, previous to revitalizing our boards and commissions program, and additionally in our WCLA program, as we are seeing that feed into our boards and committees. We have 33 boards and committees within Washoe County that is appointed by the Board of County Commissioners. We have 53 total. There might be more now, but 33 that are appointed. And a lot of individuals that learn about these boards and commissions, we drive them to those boards and committees where they truly are advisory, or they get to get involved in things that they care about, like senior issues, or open space in parks, and so on and so forth. And so with the boards and commissions and with the CABs, we have actually provided open meeting law trainings, and we try to provide those every 6 months. We have it recorded. It's on our website for individuals to look under our CAB training documents. In addition to that, we are looking to upload our open meeting law training into a bridge course, so that individuals that are going into our boards and committees will receive that training, and they have to receive it within 3 to 4 months to continue on that board. And so I just want to reiterate that there are those opportunities that are available both in and outside of the CABs. And then you had also mentioned the Sheriff's Office in Truckee Meadows Fire, and they do love to provide those information sessions for constituents. Actually, what was really interesting is the Washington County Sheriff's Office built a dashboard on their website that provides the quarterly updates that they read verbatim at the CABs. Those are available online, and they update them again every quarter, and it has all the same exact stats. And so we would just want to look at ways where instead of having them come to a CAB, we could free them up to go to a burglary, or we could free them up to do other things. Because sometimes they aren't able to make it because they do have other pressing issues that they have to address. And so those were just a few of the things touching on your comments.
I know you're there to give us information and your perspective, and that's what I'm trying to do, is give you my perspective from the people.
Thank you, I appreciate it.
Commissioner Garcia.
Thank you so much. I've been a county commissioner for a year and a half. I love my cab. I only have one glorious cab that I appreciate dearly, and the folks in the room that came down today demonstrate time and time again their leadership and commitment to Sun Valley. So I really acknowledge and appreciate their efforts. Cabs, to me, provide an opportunity for citizens not only to provide input, sometimes constructive feedback, but what I love is that it generates and promotes volunteerism too. So ideas get tossed out, and it may or may not sound interesting to an individual, but the person next to him may jump on board, and it kind of activates folks. And that excitement happens from being in person, and I can value that. I'm both. I love my cab, like I said, but I also recognize that there's always room for improvement and opportunities to maximize our outreach. So I'm very much in that middle neutral ground, both. That said, I did a little research because I saw the historical context you provided for the county, but I reached out to some of the other jurisdictions because I was curious, what are other folks doing? And for me, one thing that I've always really wanted to have is more cross-jurisdictional collaboration. Mm-hmm. And so I reached out to 2 council members, one from Reno, one from Sparks, that I overlap with. Because my Sun Valley constituents know I spent a lot of time and effort focused on Sun Valley issues, I think largely because my cab is in Sun Valley, and that's the only cab I have. I've never been to a NAB in the city of Reno. I've never been to the city of Sparks. And so in my conversation, and I just wanted to provide this for just context, again, larger outside of our organization, the city of Reno council member that I spoke with said that they shoot for 10 NABs a year, and typically 1 or 2 of those get canceled per year. Attendance fluctuates. Again, I think he would agree that topic-driven meetings tend to have better attendance, but attendance is largely can be light. City of Sparks Citizens Advisory Committee, I did not know this. They have, each council member appoints 2 members from their ward, and they attend these quarterly meetings on the second Thursday at 5:30 p.m. And it's not just those 2 appointees that I would nominate to be on that advisory committee. They also have a seat for a planning commissioner, a Parks and Rec individual, and then an at-large mayor position. So I thought that was a unique thing. And what I learned is that they had historically met a lot more frequently, and they went to the quarterly meetings because of low attendance. And so the quarterly meetings do provide an opportunity for them to rotate through the wards, but pretty interesting to see how the City of Sparks does it. And last but not least, I reached out to the president of the Washoe County School District Board of Trustees, and she provided some background that back in the day, they would have occasionally some town halls. And then it moved to more of an individualized approach where the trustees were responsible for attending the PTAs, PTOs, PFAs, the booster clubs for their particular zoned elementary, middle, and high schools. And with that model, that school-based model, it was driven to target the families and, the children at those specific schools, again, very topic-driven. And she says that those typically are well-attended and all of these give you an opportunity to access your council members, board of trustees, and county commissioners. And so I just wanted to throw that out in this discussion because there's a lot of different jurisdictions doing things differently, and so I don't ever want us to get stuck in a box where we just keep repeating the same patterns just because that's the way we've done it for 50 years. I like the innovation. I like the creative ideas. I get excited about, the topic-driven opportunities to engage. My biggest problem with the cabs is the open meeting law restrictions. That to me is what weighs on me the most, and I know my Sun Valley Cab members can attest to this. I stay after meetings or I'm available via text. I go to the senior center. I go to people's homes because there's just sometimes our meetings run 2 hours. You just can't really get in and go below those layers sometimes with your constituents. And that's my chief complaint, I guess what I would say, is that structure sometimes limits that authenticity and that genuineness that you can really reach that level of engagement that I think we miss the mark on sometimes with the structure that we have. So thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
And Commissioner Clark.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Your opening comments about to the staff about how scary this must be. I've got to go on the record. The most fun I have is being a commissioner is working with these ladies. And where's Sally? Is Sally still here? She was here, yeah. That's the best part of the job for me. So they shouldn't feel intimidated when I'm asking questions. And I don't want to precondition anybody thinking that. So the best part of the job is working with you ladies, okay? I'll tell anybody that. So. The best interaction that I have and the best insight that I have working with the county. But on this particular issue, town hall meetings, we had Tony Harsh come in. She used to be a Reno City councilwoman. Mark Newman was talking to us about this. I wanted to have a town hall meeting in my district. I wanted to use this facility, and apparently that's almost impossible to get Mike Clark to have a meeting here. Then I get a letter from the DA telling me I should be careful doing that. And, I want to have a town hall meeting where I don't have to say anything. I just listen to the people. For some reason, the DA's office thought that I might be leading the meeting and leading a vigilante group, for lack of a better word, and that isn't what I'm interested in. I want to have a town hall meeting. We've talked about having commission meetings at night. The chair is not willing to do that. This is an opportunity for citizens after work, if they so choose, can come to a meeting. It's our job as leaders of the community to have something available for folks to come to. We can't make them come to it, but we can always look them in the eye and say, we had a meeting, you should have attended, you could attend, we've got other meetings, it comes up, and you can come and have a voice. So this is a voice for the people. As far as turnout, I understand TV shows get canceled when not enough people watch them. But to cancel a county function because not enough people? What's next? We have low voter turnout. We had, approximately 20% of the folks voted in the last election? Well, hell, why waste the money on voting? Why use the money there if so few people are even voting? Let's just make the decisions for them. Let's get rid of voting. Anything that doesn't make money, governments aren't supposed to make money. So anytime we have to spend money and folks don't show, we've done our job. Our job is to have a meeting place and have an announcement and show up and be there and have the folks have a voice. The folks already have a perception now that they have no voice. And this will just add to that. But as far as cost to the county, this is like peanuts for the county in the big scope of things, $1 billion budget or more. So I don't think it's a good idea. I think we've got an elder here. We had called himself St. Anthony from Crossroads. You know, one of the things he talked about was respecting the elders. We've got Jeannie Herman, who's been on this commission, on this dais, longer than all the rest of us put together. And she thinks cabs are a good idea. So let's listen to the elder on this. We've got a former county commissioner sitting in the back row back there. I hope she comes forward with a public comment and talks about what's taking place. Over the years, systematically, it has the appearance that the county has continued to take away the people's voices. And you wonder why nobody shows up, because they have less power and less voice than they did before. And it's almost like people say, I'm not going to vote because my vote doesn't count. I'm not going to go to that meeting because my voice isn't heard. So that's the other side of this coin. You're looking at through your prism of what you see and what you're doing. But the other side of that is, let's make these things interesting again. Let's maybe get some citizen involvement. And if the cabs go away, I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I'm just going to hold a town hall once a month in different parts of my district, and I'll just do my own meeting. So I don't need the county's permission to do anything. I'll talk to whoever I want, whenever I want. And I don't need staff there to do it. But if we did have staff there, I mean, let's look at comp time. If you work an evening, I get it. You know, that's time away from you. You got family, you've got children. You're out in the evening, and 3 people show up, and 5 people sitting on the dais, and 3 people. Why am I not with my family? I get it. So, you know, there's other ways to work around this. There's management styles and management decisions that could make this work for everybody, and actually add some more voices to the community where people can actually have their voice heard and maybe see some good ideas come to the board and something comes of it. I learned something from everybody I talk to, whether I agree with them or not. So there's something to be learned. And so I want more citizen involvement instead of less. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Commissioner Andriola.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Honestly, like the hard work that you all do, and if Sally's in the room, all of you, it's to be commended. You know, my first inclination when I got here was the surprise of not having a cab in Hidden Valley. And I know you all know that that was the first thing I did in terms of looking at having a meeting. To Commissioner Garcia's point about the open meeting law restrictions, well, we didn't have any because it really was an opportunity to be soliciting feedback directly from the residents and creating and targeting the focus of what they wanted. And I think we've had a pretty good record of success of numbers of attendees. I think the Spanish Springs cab also has reflected your point about being topic-driven. But where did that come from? It came from essentially recognizing that each district is unique. Each district has its own opportunities to have its citizens, its residents be able to gather information, want to hear information that's pertinent to them. Some information may cross over to everyone, but I think that target is important. As Commissioner Garcia was describing the Spanish Springs cab, I served on the Spanish Springs cab as well. Having those additional appointees was really also an interesting perspective. Those appointees came from a process, but I think your title of reimagining the cab needs to be where I'm coming from. It's not disbanding the cab, it's reimagining how to be more effective, how to be more impactful, how to actually give exactly or as best as one can the information that would benefit the residents. I think there's some tools that the county has, and I know I've had these conversations with you, in terms of looking at the compilation of these resources that the CAB members may not even realize are available, to give them an opportunity to help formulate how they want to see it. So here's where I'm coming from on a couple things. One, I think this is a perfect topic to have at our strategic planning workshop meeting. I think that that is where you have, at a strategic planning workshop, where you look at a forward way of thinking on what various commissioners want to see, what staff is also recommending. But I do think that there is an opportunity that, as you know, and if folks don't know, we put together at the Spanish Springs CAB a strategic planning workshop, an actual workshop where everyone got to essentially provide what they wanted to see the CAB look like, because it was very clear, and serving on the Sparks Citizens Advisory Commission for years, it was very difficult to feel that you were really being impactful. So here's what I'd like to propose. Number one, I think that it would be great to have this again on the agenda, so giving us all the time to start thinking about what that might look like, gathering information, ideas. But I think that it would be great, and maybe you've already done this, so maybe this is a question too, is I think holding a meeting with all of the CABs, meaning the board membership, the CAB board membership, and asking them this. What do they want to see? What information, and to provide them, honestly, with all the tools and resources that you guys already have as Washoe County. So let me give you an example. 311, everyone that attends the CAB hears about 311, and both Candy helps with the Hidden Valley and Alexandra Wilson helps with the Spanish Springs, and you guys on a regular basis provide information about 311. The communications from Washoe County provides information. We provide calling 311, if you will, accessing 311. But we all get information from 311. We have district reports that have a compilation, and I wonder if there's common threads. We spoke about this. That could be, in other words, information could be provided for the CAB, and they can help frame what they want to see. Also surveying that area and providing, instead of us thinking about what people want to hear about, letting the residents drive what they want to hear about. But I wonder, and I don't know, there may not be enough time between now and the strategic planning meeting, but I think holding a meeting, and it doesn't have to be necessarily in person, although personally I think in person is always great. Technology isn't always that beneficial, but because the county is so large, it might be just the logistics of things. And really look at what common threads from this focus group, from CAB members, could you extrapolate that actually would be beneficial. And I realize it also gives other CAB members an opportunity to meet each other too, and to share information. And so those great minds could come up with something that we haven't even thought about. And so asking the people themselves, to me, is the biggest asset that I'm not sure. I know you did focus groups, so I'm not suggesting that you didn't ask. But I'm just wondering if there's an opportunity for you to consider that. I don't want to add to the workload, but I think it's important, because if we are looking at reimagining, I think we have to think about reimagining what that looks like. I think your point about having the technology / not everyone can come to a meeting is important, but I do think moving to a quarterly, which is what the Sparks Citizens Advisory Board did, helped also in gathering information. And I was a part of that in serving on that board with what can we do to help advise the policymakers with really good information that represents the community to which we live. And that's what I feel at the very core is what a CAB does. The Citizens Advisory Board is essentially there to gather information, to hear feedback, and to provide the resources to them as well, information-driven. And yes, I'm guilty as charged with creating opportunities that could be generic to all the CABs and possibly help, because I want to do everything I can to help everyone, right? But my responsibility is to the folks that I serve. So I just am going to throw that out as an idea. But Madam Chair, I will defer to the request to look at this being an opportunity, because look at how long the discussion, I think it warrants a longer discussion. I think it'll also give me an opportunity. I have reached out to several CAB members, but board members as well, and I really would like to have that dialogue. And so, yeah, I don't know if it's possible to do this between now and October, is it 29th? Whenever the strategic planning meeting, but it would be interesting. And maybe it doesn't always have to be, maybe it can be a combination of even a survey slash, in-person slash Zoom. Maybe it could be a little combination of everything. But I'm happy to have a deeper conversation. I know you all love that when I have the deeper conversations with you on this. The CABs are really important, and I love that they're being reimagined, and I want to state, I really am hearing unanimously at least, it's not removing, it's reimagining and being more effective. So thank you for all your hard work. Thanks for really putting us in this focus of engaging people who really can benefit, really. With information they may not, it's one of those things too, like you don't know what you don't know. So sometimes even sharing what other CABs are doing, I think, is helpful too. There might be something that somebody's like, oh, that's really a great idea. That would be helpful to have, and that information. So those are just some ideas that I have, and thank you for all your hard work on this. Thanks for, letting us all reimagine what CABs are going to look like, and they are not being removed, is what I'm hearing loud and clear. So I appreciate looking at more targeted, focused, what resources we can use, and having an opportunity for us to reach out to the CABs as well, and then look at bringing it back for further discussion and other creative opportunities in the strategic planning meeting, if the chair so desires.
Great. Well, great discussion. And I know that for my two CABs, that they have really enjoyed the informational opportunity that they've been getting since we allowed for that type of discussion before it was only development-based. And there were complaints from my CAB that wanted to talk about other issues. And so I know that it's been a great opportunity when these big major issues come up. And so especially with Incline Village and Crystal Bay being about an hour away, I feel like there's opportunities, and I hear the vice chair of communities who are far away from our population center feeling engaged with the county. We've got to continue that work. The Verdi and the West Truckee Meadows CAB, I think there's an opportunity maybe to collaborate with the city of Reno, because they're constantly, when we have our meetings, like, well, the city of Reno is doing X, Y, Z, because that part of the citizen advisory board of Verdi and West Truckee Meadows, a lot of that area has been annexed in Reno. So figuring out how we can have better collaboration with the two regions is probably a great opportunity. But I'm with, the commission, the idea of seeing how we can continue to work with our CABs, but also continuing this dialogue at our strategic planning session. I have no idea if there's room on the agenda for that. And, I know that budgets are tight, but I think seeing how we can support you as a team and seeing if, there's opportunities to grow your team this next fiscal year as well, because we want to make sure that you feel successful. And so I hear from both CABs how wonderful you are to work with, and thank you for being a staff presence, because the staff do incredible work for us, and we're really blessed to have you there. And I think it is an interesting idea to see, would this reimagination of not having it be a public meeting work in a better way for staff, because then minutes could be sourced by community members, which we see in other, there's a community forum that happens in Incline that a community member does those minutes. And they are more of a discussion, free-flowing discussion. And so that's a good question and something to mull over, whether that's something that could help you as a team moving forward. And so we've given you a lot of different direction from this, but it sounds like we still need to talk about it as a board and as a community and with staff, and then maybe we'll bring it during strategic planning if there's time, but certainly need to have a bit more time to discuss this, to see what next steps are and to give you any direction that makes sense for you. I see Commissioner Clark is signed in.
Thank you, Madam Chair. You know, if you look around the county, we've got 5 different districts, and they're different geography-wise, population-wise, a lot of reasons. What's happening in Commissioner Herman's district, a rural area, is different than what's happening in District 1. So you know, I'd like to see a town hall meeting in each district with the citizens and kind of blend in with what Commissioner Andriola said. Get some feedback from not only the people sitting on the boards now, because those people come and those people go, but who's the citizens, and have a town hall meeting with what the citizens in each district feel are issues that they want to have addressed, and things that would be an ongoing concern to them. So I think we need more citizen involvement to get more citizen involvement on the community boards. So that's just my thoughts. Thank you. Also, pardon me, I also added 2 letters, 2 emails that I received. I gave them to the clerk to add to the public record. One was a very well-written email by Helen Neff, and the other one was by Pamela Stratley. So both of those were given to the clerk to add to the public record. I know Ms. Neff spoke earlier, but I wanted to get her comments also in writing on the public record. So those have been entered. Thank you.
Okay, well, we'll just continue the dialogue. Do y'all have anything else, parting questions or
No, we look forward
comments?
to potentially hosting some town hall meetings that are not limited to 3 minutes of open meeting comment. I think there's a lot of opportunity here, and we thank you for your ear today and for your direction, and we look forward to continuing the conversation.
Thank you. We
Thank
appreciate
you.
you. Have a great rest of your day.
You too.
Okay, we'll now move to consent, and I do want to make a note that the sheriff has asked for 6G3 to be pulled. So if there's a motion for consent, it would be without 6G3. I look to the board to see if any board members have questions on the consent agenda or comments. I'm not seeing anyone that does. So Madam Clerk, for a consent, do we have any public comment?
There's nobody signed in for any of the items.
Okay, well, with that, I am looking for a motion minus 6G3 for a consent.
Madam Chair, I'll move to approve minus 6G3.
Thank you, Commissioner Andriola.
Second.
Thank you, Vice Chair Herman. Any questions on the motion from the board? Seeing none, all those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed, please say nay. And I think that passes unanimously. Yes, it does. Okay, thank you very much. Madam Vice Chair, I am looking for a block vote recommendation from you.
And I will move to give you a block vote containing items 7, 8, 9, 10, pardon, not 10, 11, 12, and 13.
Thank you, Vice Chair Herman. I am looking for a second from the board.
I'll second.
Thank you, Commissioner Garcia. And Madam Clerk, do we have any public comment on those items?
There's nobody signed in.
Okay, with a motion and a second and no public comment, any questions on the motion from the board? Seeing none, all those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed, please say nay. And it's on your screen. And that motion passes unanimously. Thank you very much. We'll now move into item 10, Manager Brown.
Item 10 is a recommendation in accordance with NRS 244.1505 and NRS 433.742 to approve allocation of Washoe Opioid Abatement and Recovery Fund non-bankruptcy funds through the One Nevada Agreement in the total amount of $4,009,786 to government entities or nonprofit organizations created for charitable, religious or educational purposes, approve associated resolutions, and authorize the county manager to sign necessary award documents for the following, for the projects listed in the staff report.
Thank you, Manager Brown. There's a lot there. And welcome, Ms. Beal. We heard a lot of public comment about these recommendations, so looking forward to your presentation.
Yeah, and it's a hard crowd to follow, to be perfectly honest. So good afternoon, Lauren Beal, Grants and Community Program Analyst for the record. I am truly honored to be speaking to you all about these projects and the Washoe Opioid Abatement and Recovery Fund, or WARF, as I like to call it. And also just like huge shout out to our Crossroads and Recovery participants who came today. I don't know if our commission knows, the commissioners know that, re-engaging with community is a key step in recovery, and what they all did today was a key step in their recovery. It's not just about your individual growth, it's how you also re-engage and connect with the people in your community. So congratulations to you all for doing a wonderful job, and I appreciate you.
Yeah, let's give them an applause again. Thank you.
So a quick acronym clarification, because I will definitely be throwing some out, and if I do, please let me know. Opioid use disorder, OUD, I will flip back in between the two of them. So a little background on the WARF funding. These are the dollars that come from the settlements of the litigation that Washoe County pursued in collaboration with the state of Nevada and other jurisdictions against pharmaceutical companies and other distributors of opioids that played a role in the opioid epidemic. Washoe County will receive approximately $41 million over the course of 20 years. These dollars are specifically for opioid use disorder treatment, recovery, and abatement. They cannot be used for other things, or the pharmaceutical companies might try to claw back that money. So we have to be very specific in how we use it. So in May, when we first announced the first round of funding, we had $4.75 million that we had already received, and we made $4.5 million of that available in that first notice of funding opportunity. And that's to address the top 5 priorities identified in the December 2022 opioid use disorder community needs assessment, which is also, according to NRS, a requirement that we have to follow the priorities set forth in our community needs assessment. And since May, this is actually slightly wrong because today we received an additional $500,000. So we have now, I can't do quick math, I apologize, but $2.24 million that we have received. And by the time of the next round of funding in 2026, we expect to have approximately $5.7 million available. So I know we've all heard that a couple of times, but I like to make sure that we remember where these dollars are coming from and the amazing work of our litigators to get us to this point. So this is a quick timeline of our notice of funding opportunity process that was conducted this summer. We gave our applicants about a month and a half to complete applications. We then spent 3 weeks doing reviews that went through a couple of different rounds. And then after selecting our initial recommendations, we spent some time really thinking through with the different potential awardees what their performance measures would look like, what the expectations would be, so that when we come to you today and hopefully get your approval, we will be able to launch on October 1 very quickly. So in response to our notice of funding opportunity, we had 25 final applicants that completed the entire application. And they requested just over $13 million amongst all of them. So you might remember I just said we made $4.5 million available. So that made for some very tough decisions for our reviewers. Speaking of our reviewers, we put together teams of 3 per each priority area. And our teams had somebody who had lived experience, somebody who was a community member, who was a subject matter expert, and then we also had a grants management professional from the community reinvestment team, not myself. I was not a part of the review teams. Because I was blinding all of the applicants so that you couldn't see organization name or any of the people who applied within or signed on to any of the applicants to really kind of create that objective framework for our reviewers. We also ensured that there was good representation on our review panels from the many communities that are in Washoe County. Reviewers were looking for specific qualities in the applications. Some of the most important were our key eligibility criteria, which were we could not supplant funding if there was already funding for this in some other way. This funding cannot be used for that. It had to be evidence-based, and again, it had to be an acceptable use of funds according to the litigation settlements and NRS, and of course, consistent with our needs assessment priority areas. Then once you kind of got past those key eligibility, we really wanted to look into different aspects of the application to ensure that this would be something that would be sustainable going forward after the funding ends. This is 20-year funding, but it does end, and we want to make sure that we're propping up programs that are going to be successful in the long term. We also look to make sure that the organizations had the capacity to implement their projects as designed. And this is just a quick example of what our rubric and score sheet looked like. So our rubric really broke down each section to really describe what would be needed to be considered excellent, strong, average, weak, or basic. And then the reviewers would plug that into the score sheet for each section, and it would auto-calculate out of 100. I don't know if you can tell, I really like Excel, and it makes me very happy. So before I jump into our recommendations, I want to talk about priority 2. This was about ensuring access to buprenorphine, which is a medication for OUD, and care navigators in the emergency department. Unfortunately, there were no applications for this particular priority. The reviewers still met to discuss it to figure out what do we think would be the best move going forward. And they determined that we need to start saving lives now. So we should take $300,000 of the budgeted funds to move it to priority 1. And also the remaining funds should be used to do capacity building around priority 2 so that hopefully we can come to you all again in winter 2025 with some additional ideas around how we can make this happen. So with that $300,000, we had $1.3 million available for priority 1, which was increasing access to treatment for uninsured and underinsured Washoe County residents. We had 11 applications for this. This was by far the largest number of applicants per priority, and the Northern Nevada Hopes project to create an opioid treatment program at their new clinic, and Ridge House's project to provide outpatient services were the highest scoring applications. Each of these projects will expand the number of people who have no insurance or whose insurance makes accessing holistic treatment fiscally impossible, who will be able to receive treatment that meets their needs. Priority 3, overdose prevention, outreach, and education, continues to be a critical life-saving need in Washoe County. This priority had $775,000 budgeted to be allocated and received the second largest number of applications with over 9 applications. The reviewers recommended funding the Northern Nevada Harm Reduction Alliance's project to provide comprehensive harm reduction strategies that meet people in community who are using drugs where they are to educate and connect them to life-saving resources, and join together Northern Nevada's project to launch a social media campaign to spread awareness, as well as provide support and resources to bridge gaps in access to care. In addition to focusing on the needs of individuals who use opioids, there's a need to support the entire family impacted by substance use and work to break the cycle of substance use disorders within families. Implementing child welfare best practices for families impacted by OUD, our 4th priority, was just what we needed to do that. And so the recommendation is an expansion of the Human Services Agency's Crossroads program to meet the needs of an entire family unit and provide a therapeutic community model that will help every member of the family unit heal together and individually. Medical detoxification is a critical infrastructure gap in the community. As many of us know, that since the closure of the Community Triage Center, there has only been one location that accepts Medicaid patients for detoxification in Washoe County. With the approval of this recommendation, Bristol-Cohen Family Resources will be breaking ground on a new 20-bed detox center that, as the executive director, I'm really a little nervous still, executive director told us, will accept folks who are uninsured and underinsured. In total, we are recommending that $4,009,786 be awarded to these 6 different projects from WRF. I should have a question slide, but I don't.
All right. Wow. I am impressed by the process. I had no idea. So congratulations on that, Ms. Beal. And I don't see any commissioners signed in for comments or questions. I just am curious on the Crossroads program, and I may have missed it in the staff report, and I apologize if I did. Where will this program be?
Yeah, so they actually wrote into the grant a warm-up period in which they will locate a new building for the new program. It would be a 10-unit apartment building.
Okay, so they're just looking for that.
Yes,
Okay.
and that the budget reflects kind of that ramp-up period to locate a building and build in new staff and all of that.
Okay.
Most of these projects actually were very thoughtful
Yes.
in that ramp-up period.
Absolutely, and I'm assuming it will be a public process for that. So, okay, people should be aware and look out for that. So that's very exciting. No other board, Commissioner Andriella.
I don't have a question. I really want to thank you for your enthusiasm, right? I mean, it's really clear that you care about this process and it being equitable.
Mm-hmm.
I also think all of the programs, obviously, and kudos to the team, all these programs really fit exactly what you shared, and I think it must have been hard for those that were on the committee to make tough choices. But I do think it's so encouraging, not only from what we've heard today from some of the folks about keeping the family together, that, and again, I'm not taking away the importance of any other program, by the way, but I think keeping the family together is so critical to the success of everyone. Because pulling one person, whether it be a child or the wife who shared that her husband couldn't be there, their dad, that pulling away that way is just almost unimaginable, right? In terms of the trauma that you're adding to already the trauma that's there in terms of the recovery path. So I think it's so exciting. I don't know, and here's my question. Do you know if there is actually in Nevada or another program that has the whole family unit? I'm just curious if you knew, that looks at the whole family holistically that way.
I don't know for the entire state, but I do know for Washoe County, there is not another that is going to do what this project does with that whole family unit. It's usually separation of men and women.
Well, I hope that we can continue to hear the success of that. It's a really exciting model that all of us, I think, would hope that no one would have to go through any of this, right? That's the ultimate goal. But to be able to keep that family unit, I think, is really commendable. So I don't know who necessarily came up with that, but thank you for whoever it is. And it's so exciting to think about the success of these families and the outcome for all of these programs. But thank you so much. And you did a great job on your presentation, so thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, first time before the BCC officially, so congratulations on that as well. I see that there is some public comment, Madam Clerk.
We have Ann Elizabeth Norzon signed in.
Good afternoon. Thank you for being here and for considering this important funding for Washoe County. My name is Ann Elizabeth Northen, and I'm the Executive Director for Join Together Northern Nevada, the Substance Misuse Prevention Coalition of Washoe County. We offer comprehensive prevention services, including K-12 education, parenting support, and system-level collaboration. Our nonprofit believes in the power of community to overcome circumstance, to overcome broken systems, to overcome addiction. In many ways, community is the antidote to addiction. There's a story in recovery, and as I reflect on the meaning of the potential funding, I'm drawn into this story. It is the tale of a man who is trapped in a deep well. A good Samaritan walks by and throws down a rope, but the man still can't get out. A doctor comes by and provides a diagnosis, but the man is still trapped. This repeats with different people coming by, offering advice or tools to cope until one day someone comes and crawls down into the well. The trapped man says, "What are you doing? You'll be trapped down here too." The helper replies, "I have been in this well before and I know the way out." In many ways, JTNN climbs down into the well to meet people right where they are, to experience grief over a struggling child, provide fentanyl test strips and naloxone to prevent death, or prevention can also look like a warm voice on the other end of the line with a ride to treatment. In any of these cases, prevention is hope. Prevention is community. Prevention is meeting people right where they are and providing for their needs. Prevention is ensuring no one falls into the well in the first place. The JTNN WARF projects set before you for funding directly speak to the nature of prevention in Washoe County and provide tools to empower our community to make a difference while meeting individuals where they are to walk beside them toward recovery. The major components of the project are education for the whole community and individual connections to care. The project works to tear down long-standing transportation barriers and to provide a voice on the other end of the line to journey with. This project examines systems and works with the entire community to enact meaningful change. This project provides life-saving naloxone and education so that everyone is empowered to save lives. This project is meant to touch our community and inspire courageous action in the fight against opioid misuse, disorder, and overdose. Thank you for your consideration today and continued efforts to create a thriving Washoe County in partnership with us.
Thank you.
There's no one else signed in.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Looking to the board again to see if anyone has any. Oh, yes, Commissioner Garcia.
Thank you. Ms. Beal, I have one question about the timeline. I see that we are going to be teeing up, $5.7 million for round 2, and I'm on your timeline slide. Talk to us about what happens after today's hopeful approval of September 10th. What happens between now and the next round?
Yeah, so we have a couple of things that'll have to happen. We are going to ramp up these projects. This is going to be a very hands-on grant management process where we're going to be meeting very regularly with the projects to make sure there's also collaboration amongst the projects. I think a lot of people have spoken to how all of these things really need to go together for us to be successful, and so we want to make sure that each project is communicating. You know, if somebody at Crossroads needs to get back into Detox, we're going to call it Bristlecone. And so there's that aspect. But then we also need to start doing the next needs assessment. The original needs assessment was for the 2022 to 2025 period. So we'll start doing that, which will then inform the 2026 round of funding. We are setting it up so that, we don't expect major changes in the needs. The needs are probably going to stay relatively stable, but we are required by NRS to do it once every 4 years. So we will be kind of ramping up that process to make sure that we can do that next round of funding so that if there are new needs that have come up, we can specifically fund those. And then if there needs to be, continuation of funds or we'll do a reduced application process. So those are some of the things. We're going to keep thinking about other ways we can create collaboration opportunities for there were so many amazing applicants who were not included in this round of funding that we would love to make sure are continuing to collaborate with us. And we're thinking also about other opportunities. We do not go after the federal funds as a nonprofit community or, substance use recovery community that we could be. And so we want to make sure that we're collaborating across the nonprofits and organizations locally to make sure that we're going after the funds that we could be going for. Some other ideas I'm sure will come up.
Well, thank you. great work, and great work to all of our partners who are being recommended funding today. And I hope that board members will go out and tour their facilities, especially the new Crossroads once that's up and going, and learn more about what they're doing in our community so we can be of support. So if there's no other commissioner comments or questions, I'm looking for a motion on this. Commissioner Andriola.
Madam Chair, I'll move to, in accordance with NRS 244.1505 and NRS 433.742, to approve the allocation of Washoe Opioid Abatement and Recovery Fund non-bankruptcy funds through the One Nevada agreement and the total amount of $4,009,786. Approve associated resolutions and authorize the county manager to sign necessary award documents for the following groups that were presented.
Thank you, Commissioner Andriola. Looking for a
Second.
second. Thank you, Vice Chair Herman. We have a motion and a second. Any other comments or questions from the board? Seeing none, all those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed, please say nay. And that motion passes unanimously. Congratulations. It's an exciting day for our community. All right, we will now move on to our final public comment. Manager Brown.
Public comment heard under this item will be limited to 3 minutes per person and may pertain to matters both on and off the commission agenda. The commission will also hear public comment during individual action items with comment limited to 3 minutes per person. Comments are to be made to the commission as a whole.
Madam Clerk.
First up, we have Penny Brock.
Penny Brock for the record. As you know, I'm often up here as a taxpayer concerned about how our tax money is being spent. I recalled that y'all passed setting up the open checkbook. So I did a Washoe 311 request, got a lot of good information from the CFO. She was so helpful, and I really appreciated that. Where it stands, according to my understanding, is there's no target date. Now, I don't understand why not. I checked the state Nevada website, and their open checkbook looks great. And that's what this is going to be modeled after. It's not like this is something brand new. So I'm excited. I hope it's forthcoming. I know this was introduced by Commissioner Andriola, and I want to thank her for that. And so I also am up here just to let her know that I followed up on that. So I saw our CFO was here earlier, and so I look forward to getting a target date ASAP. The next thing I want to address is now being on the South Valley CAB, I live out in the area where the fire is, the devastating fire. So I felt responsible to see what my neighbors were saying. So I was on Nextdoor Saturday, Sunday, Monday, doing my best, and I never told them I was on the CAB. I was just there as a citizen. But many of them were frantic for information, and they didn't know where to go. Very little was forthcoming from our county Facebook site. I finally got information from them like, well, we're on Twitter, X. Well, that public information didn't go out there anywhere that I found. I was on the county website under emergency management. There was no plan that I found for evacuation of the traffic. The HOAs have plans to get their people out of their communities, but once they hit the major roadways, there's no plan. We're talking of thousands of cars. And then the stoplights went out. Talk about chaos. So there's some real need for the emergency management staff to address getting people out of, once they hit those major roadways, they could die sitting there and the fire could come through and they couldn't get out. This is serious. I lived up in Galena Forest. I walked that. I lived through 2 evacuations and then a house fire. So fire is very close to my heart. And I can tell you these people will never be the same. It changed me. So please, you've got to address this issue of evacuations and communication. Thank you.
Thank you.
There's nobody else signed in.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. We'll now move on to item 15, Manager Brown.
Item 15 is Commissioners, County Managers' announcements, reports, and updates to include boards and commissions updates, requests for information or topics for future agendas.
Thank you very much. Do you have anything else for us, Manager Brown?
I do not, Madam Chair.
Okay, Vice Chair Herman. And Commissioner Garcia. Commissioner Andriola. Commissioner Clark.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I have one item. This has come to my attention more than once by folks that don't know each other, and I just want to put this into public record. As always, when I'm asking these questions or putting something on public record, it's not me accusing anyone of anything. If I'm going to accuse somebody of something, you'll know it. I get an email, and I'll read it to you, and then I'm going to give it to the clerk to put on the record. It's from Frank Wright here in Incline. IVGIT is going to ask the county to help you try and fix the financials. I've heard reports over the financials at IVGIT numerous times, and so I'd like somebody from the county to look into that. But I'll read this again. IVGIT is going to ask the county for help in fixing the financials, which Reuben Brown stated were loaded with fraud. Vote no, let them sink. This has been brewing for years. Actually, I don't think this place is fixable. So again, I want to get that on the public record, and if the county has any way to investigate these so-called allegations, I'd appreciate a report. Thank you.
Thank you. With that, after a great meeting, we are adjourned at 1:40. Thank you.